welcome back to I Was Thinking. This is your co-host, Lala, and here with our lovely host,
Simone. We'll work on that, but good job, Lala. I got a system of how I like to do the intros. It's okay. It's okay.
Listen, you have your way, I have mine.
Okay.
And also at the same time, it's my first time recording the intro, so be nice.
That's why I said it's fine. It's fine. Anyway, hi guys.
Hello. Also, I'm alive. I made it.
She is.
Kind of.
As I mentioned in our little break. No. I don't know what to call those episodes, the little short ones. Lala was just very sick, guys, but she's back. The flu caught her bad.
It did. Please take care of yourselves, everyone. Do what you can, do what you have to take care of yourselves, because the flu is crazy this year.
I mean, we have the flu. Bird flu's really only hitting the animals so far, especially the birds. My dad actually just came back from the store and eggs are $9 now here. So that's great. We still got COVID. I know in some places the measles is starting to break out. I think somewhere in Texas and Kansas, they're having an outbreak of tuberculosis. So yeah, it's a great time, guys. It's a great time.
Way to just scare them off. I wish you guys could have seen her facial reactions as her facial expressions as she was saying all of this. You're just like, I don't even know how to explain it. You're just like,
I'm just trying to warn the people.
Worse and worse and worse.
Okay, I'm just trying to do my civil duty of warning and informing the people. Right?
Goodness. I mean, okay. I guess I'll give it a pass.
So, like she said, stay healthy.
Yeah.
Take your medicine.
Take your vitamins.
Drink your water.
Mm-hmm. Even if you have to put like little flavors in it or something, it don't matter. Just keep your fluids going. It isn't fun.
IV liquid is great. That's what it's called, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Liquid IV.
Mm-hmm. Except those are not good to drink on like a consistent basis. But
no, but I did learn from a TikTok, I think, because a woman did end up in the hospital. If you can taste salt in it when you're drinking it, that means you're already hydrated. Like you don't need that for extra hydration. But if you taste the flavor, then that means like you need it. So,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. The last time I took any of that was when I went to Lollapalooza to go see Stray Kids last year. Yeah, it was really hot. So it was definitely needed.
I bet. Just real quick before we start this episode too, because we are doing a review, something we haven't done in a very long time. I do want to go over some things from the last time we recorded. I know I didn't give my opinion too much when it comes to concert buying now, and I still won't. My opinions haven't really changed. But goddamn, we really need to do something about this dynamic pricing, because after seeing the way the Beyonce concert tickets went, I thought the K-pop was already bad enough in Hobies. Getting ridiculous.
No, we're going to start seeing it across all the board.
Yeah.
Which is going to kind of suck. I don't know. I mean, I feel the same way, where they need to start. But then it's also the artists, though, because they're allowing it.
Is it the artist or is it like the company? Know when it comes. Yeah. I truly don't know when it comes to that, or like how they bring it up to the artist to like, or if they bring it up to them at all. When they say like the artist decide this, I'm like, well, is it really the artist or is the company? And I know with K-pop, the companies have more control usually than the artist. I can't really say the same or like anything
Western
like that.
Artists.
Like Beyonce. So I'm not going to touch on that. But I am wondering when it comes to K-pop, because I don't buy any other K-pop tickets. So I don't know if they do dynamic pricing or not.
They do.
Okay. I know Stray Kids did, because I think when I went with Macy back in 2023, she had ended up getting in the fan pre-sale, but that's because they were allowing you to buy dynamic price tickets, even if you didn't have like a membership code. So
that to me is wild, because then you're basically stuck having to choose something that's dynamic pricing, because that's the only reason why you're allowed to be in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if I recall, 17, I believe, had dynamic pricing too. It wasn't as bad, but it was still up there.
I don't know. It's getting ridiculous at this point.
The amount of like jokes that I see on like TikTok and stuff like that of armies being worried of when BTS goes on tour, and like people saying, oh, it's probably going to cost me like 2 months worth of rent or mortgage or whatever. And it's like, it shouldn't be that way.
It really shouldn't.
I'm going to tell you right now, depending on the prices, I won't even care if I get nosebleeds as long as I'm in the building.
Exactly. I was just going to say, I just want to be in the building at that point. I will take the cheapest ticket I can find. Because again, with me too, I'm more than likely going to have to travel, which is extra cost.
Oh, maybe you'll come here to Chicago.
What?
I said, maybe you'll come out here to Chicago.
Hopefully that's the plan.
Oh, for you to come out here?
I mean, yeah, I feel like that's always a spot everyone's going to meet up. And then I still got to actually meet you. I don't know if people know this. We still haven't actually met in person. Just putting that out there. So yeah, got to actually meet you in person. I also have to see if I'm taller than you. I believe I am.
What's your height?
We already went over this. I'm 5'5". We're both 5'5", but I still feel like I'm somehow taller than you. It's fine.
How?
Okay, so anyway, let's get on to our episode. We are going over the documentary K-pop Idols that's on Apple TV.
I will be bringing that up later on.
No, you won't. Okay, so.
All right, so we start off, and just a little disclaimer, there is going to be, oh my God, why did I just blank out right now?
Oh my God. Okay, we always do a disclaimer anyway when we do like K-drama reviews because of translations. But even though we don't really have to do translations, it still applies. We apologize if we mispronounce any names, places. I think that's pretty much it. Mainly names, because some of them are still like Korean names or just names we're not familiar with in our language. So we are trying our best. We're not perfect.
And then also spoilers, because we do go into great detail for some of the stuff. So there are spoilers in this review. So just letting you know right now, if you hear this and you want to watch this on your own, suggest to watch it and then come back.
Or if you don't care, just listen to us. That's perfectly fine too.
Yep. So we're going to start off with episode 1, which is titled Different Type of Beast. And in this one is going to be an intro to our main three groups that we are going to be learning about throughout this podcast, which is
artist.
That's why I wanted to say artist.
Yeah, because it's 2 groups and a solo person. So
yeah. Okay. Well, it's an intro to 3 of our artists here, and that would be Jessi, Cravity, and Blackswan. And so on our episode, it does start off with voiceovers of interviews from K-pop fans describing the interest of the genre. Now, I will presume that they are most likely American K-pop fans.
Real quick, not to like cut you off like that, but the way they filmed this, I had a feeling maybe they were asking these questions at KCON.
I do too.
That's one of the biggest things in this documentary, that they focus for one of these groups. So now that I think about it, I think these fans were at KCON and they were asking these questions at KCON.
There is one episode later on that majority of the interviewers were Korean. So I think that was a concert or like a show that they were having in Korea.
Yes. But
there is
the intro episodes, all of them. For the intro episodes. Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that was at KCON.
So one of the interviews did say something interesting that caught my attention. They have to be perfect to be K-pop idols, which in my opinion is a crazy, unrealistic standard. But, we'll go on from there. On to the next scene, it gets cut to showing Jessi bent over from exhaustion after doing a performance, moving into the perspective of what these idols go through, give up, lose, and gain to become idols. Some drop out of high school, others move from their homelands to South Korea for a potential chance. With the constant stress, mental and physical fatigue, and all it takes is someone else to be more younger, more prettier, more talented than you. After all, this is a competition. And in my opinion, a very sad truth within the entertainment industry overall. It all leads to the question, do you have the passion to keep going? And are you ready to be under a microscope? From there on, we move on to the perspective of one of the artists. We begin with Jessi. It took her 18 years to reach where she is now. She moved from New Jersey to South Korea at the age of 14, jumping from company to company in an attempt to break into the K-pop industry. However, as she got older, companies tend to overlook her. Just when she was packing up to leave, she was contacted to appear on a show called Unpretty Rap Star. With not much to lose, Jessi agreed. Unpretty Rap Star features women rapping, battle rapping each other. And as everyone tuned in, agencies began reaching out to Jessi afterwards. One of them was Psy, who had just left YG Entertainment to form P Entertainment in January 2019. And Jessi became his first signee.
His company's called P Nation.
Is it P Nation?
Yes. I'm like, what? I was trying to figure out where you got P Entertainment.
You know what? Because I followed, that's what they have said on the, what's it called? The subtitles.
That's what it said in the subtitles?
On the subtitles, they have P Entertainment. Because I
that has
literally
to be another episode because that's going to have to be another episode of how I feel about subtitles nowadays, because I feel like they're not using real humans anymore. They're using AI, because anything I watch now, I can tell, because I watch TV with the subtitles, but it's like, I'll read them and it's like, I know for a fact that's not what they said. Like, why is it? You can tell it's AI. And it's not actually picking up what they're saying. Like, there's no one reviewing the subtitles to make sure it's correct and like fixing them. I didn't even notice that, but yes, it's his company is called P Nation.
P Nation, which is really funny because earlier I think I had wrote P Nation somewhere else, and I'm like, wait a second, no, I think it's P Entertainment, and I went back into I should have just double checked that, but yeah, that's we'll end up having another episode on that one because
it's okay. I also just wanted to point out the first thing you talked about with like Jessi too, and like her starting at the age of 14. Not only jumping from company to company, but I think she was in a couple groups too before she decided to try to do the solo thing. And it's like, I am not sure, especially at the beginning, we were talking about like younger and being prettier. Like, I think it depends on each like country, because we've talked about before how we see South Korea has a thing for the youth. I mean, it's no secret that a lot of these groups, they always debut minors. The youngest can be between 13 and 14. And I feel like, at least in America, like people in their like late 20s and early 30s have an easier chance of like starting in their late 20s and 30s. Yes, the beauty factor does sometimes play a fact in that. But, and again, maybe it's just because different markets, but still. So
I feel like another thing too on why they go ahead and get trainees or debut such young people is the control factor.
I mean, yeah, it's easier to tell a kid something, because even with, what is it that you said? Are they ready to be under a microscope? I don't think a lot of these children, and I will say children because most of them start out as children, understand, because they're so young and don't really know how to read contracts, know what they're getting themselves into. So no, they're not actually that prepared of everything that comes outside of recording and singing and making music videos. So as far as the extra when it comes to the fans, like they know what it's like, because most of them do start out as trainees and those are already long hours of the day. We'll actually get into that later because they do interview a trainee. But everything else, especially when it comes to the fandom side, what do you have to do for the fans, all that, I don't think they're prepared for it, or any of the online backlash and in-person backlash. Didn't realize they get so much backlash from their companies themselves. It's really wild to me.
Oh, yeah. Trust me, I will be getting into details on some of the backlash that they get from their own managers. Their own manager. You know what? Okay.
It's like a never-ending break.
No, it's a never-ending criticism that they have to go under.
Right.
Because it's all the time. And it's from every single one.
Fans, non-fans, your managers, the higher ups.
It's like, well, everyone from the company. And then you also have to consider that at times you could even have parents that will side with the companies. And, obviously we have Jessi, which this, gets talked about a little later, but Jessi, her mom gets interviewed a lot throughout the episode, or throughout the documentary. And she loves Jessi. Like Jessi, to her, she will always be her little princess, her little daughter. And like, there's a couple times where she cries just because of seeing how frustrated or how much stress she sees Jessi under because of this industry.
Yeah. And I think that's her only daughter too, right? Because she has two older brothers.
Yep. So going back in, her first big hit after signing was Nunu Nana.
I remember afterwards, No, I said I remember when that got released. It was interesting.
It was. Afterwards, it was her trying to write big hits, which started to cause her to feel sad. See, Jessi is known to write about being an aggressive alpha woman, but that's not all she is. She wanted to show that even being alpha, you could still cry. But with Psy and the label company wanting hits to make music, Jessi thought that it was time for a change and a challenge. So in July of 2022, Jessi left P Nation to try to make it on her own.
Now, I also want to say something too. I don't remember if Jessi ever said this herself. I'm going to put allegedly as well on what I'm about to say. I've also heard Psy is not the best when it comes to letting other artists in his company shine for some reason. Because, since he used to be an artist, like they kind of want them to do things the way like he envisions them. Basically trying to have a lot of control over his own artists and do things the way he did. That's why some of their music kind of sounds like music he makes. Again, allegedly. And he also focused more on himself, to be an artist than
to actually being a CEO.
Because a lot of people are questioning, where is this one group that he has? What is it? Are they called TWS? I know he has a boy group now. I don't hear much about them. So
I guess we'll have to wait and find out and see. But I mean, it's true. It's you either start a company and you become a CEO and you step back from being an artist, or you just be an artist. And if you're wanting to just make a label company just so you can have control over what you do, then go ahead and do that. But don't try to bring other artists in if you're basically doing the same thing on the reason why you left your original label company. So why are you trying to do the same then as an artist to another artist? That will never make sense to me.
I don't know. I can't answer that for you. I'm almost with JYP too. So
listen, you brought it up.
Oh, I know. I don't have the answers, but I just brought it up for discussion and awareness.
I don't even know, business wise, right? I don't know how. I mean, I understand from a business perspective, you're wanting control over your artist. You're wanting to make sure that they're going to be hitting the numbers that they need to hit. And you want to control certain things so the image of the company isn't getting tainted, right? So that all makes sense to me. But to go from an artist to a CEO to then still trying to be an artist, you know who else he reminds me of? And it just JYP.
I mentioned JYP earlier. I don't know if you heard me or not.
That whole, anyways, yeah. I think I'm going to leave it at that.
We're not going to touch on that because people already know my feelings about JYP. Okay, we still got other stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we'll leave that there. So we move on to meet Philip, the director of DR Music, and his dad, Mr. Young, CEO of DR Music.
Yoon.
Mr. Yoon. created DR Music because he didn't just want to produce and perform music for the domestic market. He wanted it worldwide. In 1997, DR Music created a group called Baby Vox.
Baby Vox?
Like Baby
Vox
Vox?
is with a V, yeah.
Vox.
I don't remember what Vox stands for, though. So don't ask me that. Because it's an acronym.
They didn't even get into the detail of that either. So
they didn't get to a detail of a lot of stuff. Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. When it comes to pretty soon, you will realize how we feel about this specific CEO.
And it's not good.
No, it's not. This was their first Korean all-girl group to have a female rapper, Mr. Yoon. Thanks the 4 biggest labels for how big K-pop has become. But the first company to enter the global market was DR Music, in his perspective. I'm going to put that out there. I'm going to put that disclaimer out there. In his perspective, Philip goes on to explain how he joined DR Music because he wanted to be able to spend time with his dad. Philip has been working for DR for 7 years. After Baby Vox disbanded on February 5th, 2006, Mr. Yoon went on to create 30 more groups, but they didn't have the full package. So he went on to try to make a global group, the first K-pop group to include international members. This is where we get introduced to Blackswan, which consists of 4 girls. Now, this is where, and I do apologize, I will most likely be butchering a lot of the names. Yonhan?
I have to see it in Korean for some odd reason now. I think it's pronounced Youngun.
Judy, Leah, and Fatu.
Yes. So I am going to take over a little bit because I need to give a broader history of Blackswan. I feel like a lot of people know, but many don't. And I'm actually really surprised they didn't touch on this in the documentary at all, because technically Blackswan is a reiteration, I don't even know how to describe it, of a previous group that he had named Rania, which is the one. I'm surprised they also said to create 30 more groups. I don't know what other 30 groups he had, or are they just talking about Rania and all the member changes they had?
I don't know. I think he tried to create them, but I don't think any of them ever debuted.
Okay, so that would make more sense, because I only know of Baby Vox and Rania. I don't know what other group they had.
No, he tried to create, like, I guess he was trying to find the talent he wanted to find to make a global group, but none of them ever made it. So I don't think any of them ever debuted.
Okay, so that would make sense. But yeah, because Blackswan officially debuted October 16, 2020. So they did debut like during the pandemic. But what gets me is why they never talked about how Blackswan came from Rania is because literally their first album was named Goodbye Rania, with remixes of songs from Rania on the album. So it's like, how? I'm actually impressed how they were able to erase the history of Rania. When again, like the songs, they show them performing the Tonight song when they introduced Blackswan. That's from that album. Goodbye Rania.
Why would you even name an album that way by saying
I don't
goodbye
know.
to an old group?
I even said that.
If you're
wanting, the girls in Blackswan at the beginning were from Rania.
Rania never debuted, did they?
Yes, they did. Let me get into this. Okay, so also too, what I think was interesting is that they completely erased their 5th member that was in Blackswan when they debuted. Her name was Haimi, I believe, Haimi, who was also in Rania. Like, she was a full member in Rania. I don't remember if she was the leader of Rania or not, but she was in Rania, with Leah, whose name at the time being in Rania was Larissa. and Younghoon. The only members who were not in Rania previously were Fatu and Judy. And when they talk about Leah, which is super shady, they act like when she became a trainee, it was for Blackswan, not Rania. And she technically was training to be in Rania since 2019. Lala's, I wish y'all could see Lala's face right now and how confused she looks.
Okay, hold on. Okay, pause.
Okay, because I'm like, I got a lot, but you're already so confused.
It's not even that I'm confused. It's just that I know that Leah is the youngest. She's the maknae from the group, right? How old was she?
I don't know. I don't remember how old she said I don't even know if she said how old she was when she
never
quote
did.
Unquote, okay.
Became a trainee.
Yeah. No. I don't know how old she is now.
So when and that's the weirdest part too, is because for the most part, like I try to capture like either how old they were when they started being trainees, like the time period, how many years they were with trainees. When it came to her, she herself didn't even give that much information. So
because they were trying to erase. So she's 23 right now. Dang, we got the same birthday. I have really mixed feelings how I feel about this girl. So
I know.
And the fact that we're both the same birthday. We must be from different sides of the stars or something, because
listen,
anyway.
It depends on your birth chart is based on also where you were born and the time you were born. So it doesn't matter that you guys have the same birthday. You guys were born in different places. Okay. So the stars are different.
That's true. And different years as well.
Her moon and her rising might be the biggest reason for, because I'm like you when it comes to her. I'm
very conflicting.
It's very conflicting feelings for her, because I feel for her for how young she was. But at the same time,
well, let's continue, and then we'll talk about it when we get to her. Was there anything else you wanted to say with the whole Rania thing that I just briefly talked about?
I'm kind of baffled because I didn't know that it was Leah that was on it. I could have sworn. So
I will explain more about Leah being in Rania, because like she was in Rania, but she technically wasn't in Rania. The only one who was, I'll say, truly in Rania was Haimi, who again they erased, even though she did debut with Blackswan. And I think when they debuted, I think she was the leader too. So the reason she left Blackswan was because she got into a controversy when they debuted. A man in his 30s. Usually they don't give out identities in Korea during lawsuits or if it goes public. So they'll give him letters like woman B, man A, whatever. So I guess they labeled him as B, had filed for divorce from her around July 2021. The report states that she was legally registered her marriage to him in June of 2020. So she allegedly secretly got married. Then the man, a different man, labeled A, filed a criminal complaint against her, accusing her of defrauding him out of 50 million won, which is approximately $44,800 USD at the time. And then when the company made a statement, they said her contract had expired from Blackswan anyway, and with the company during Blackswan's promotions of their debut song. So she was no longer part of the group or the company.
None of that seems right. That timeline doesn't even seem right.
I have been following Blackswan since they debuted. I do remember this happening, so it was a mess.
That doesn't even seem right, because doesn't their contract begin basically when they get added to the group? So,
well, remember I said she's been in Rania, so she's already been in DR Music for a while. She's been under the company for a while.
Okay, so because Rania started in 2019. Okay.
No, they started way earlier. They started in 2011.
Well, they debuted. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. Now that's adding up more. Okay.
You're getting it confused. I said Leah was in Rania since 2019. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense now.
Yes. However, she wasn't in the original lineup. So the original lineup of Rania, we're still on Rania, was 8 girls. Again, I'm going to mispronounce these names. I don't know if it's pronounced Sam, but there's also parentheses. I think she changed her name to Yina. There was Joy, Juyi, Sarah, Rico, D, TA, and Chia. Sarah left and was replaced with Yijo. They were supposed to add 2 more girls, but it didn't work out because one missed her family and the other parents thought she was too young at 15. Reasonable parents.
Yep. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So they still ended up debuting with 8 members. Yeah. So one girl was replaced and they were supposed to add 2 more to make it 10, but they didn't. So they just ended up still only debuting 8 members on April 6th, 2011 with the song Teddy Riley, the first expansion in Asia. That's the actual name of the song, Teddy Riley, the first expansion in Asia. I'm assuming Teddy Riley helped on the song as well. So, and then
that's not weird
the new girl, listen, the new girl they just added, Yijo, was not present during promotions and ended up leaving the company shortly due to visa issues. Because I don't think she was Korean. I think she was either like Chinese or Japanese. So in November of 2015, Sam, or I think it's Sam, I'm not really sure, and Joey left the group and Solji and Haimi joined. So she has been with DR Music since at least 2015. The Haimi girl who ended up being in Blackswan and had the controversy. So in the documentary, they completely erased her, which is also funny because when they show clips of the Tonight music video, they show 5 members. So we're just not going to explain why there's 5 members in a music video, but we're only focusing on 4 members of Black Swan. Okay, that's fine. No bad press for the company, I guess. And then they also added Alex, who was Black American and Swedish, actually making her the first Black woman to debut in a Korean group. Because most people think it's Fatu, and Fatu isn't Black American, but people consider her the first Black K-pop idol, which technically isn't true. I'm not going to the whole diaspora war, especially when it comes to mixed people. So Alex is the first Black woman ever be in a K-pop group. And it was not good for her. She was treated horribly. I've even seen clips where and it's funny too, because she ended up being the leader, but obviously because she's Black, they made her the rapper. But they would perform songs and she wouldn't be doing the choreography or anything. She would come on stage, do her rap part, and then kind of go off to the side of the stage when everyone else formed. I also think she has a YouTube channel. I don't remember what the full name is, but I think there is a YouTube video of her talking about her experience in Rania. So it's bad, but I have seen those clips of her.
Okay.
Lala's very speechless right now.
It just, so here's the thing, and here's the problem that I have, right? Because Mr. Yoon so badly worked, quote unquote, worked very hard to try to make a global group, right? So apparently with Rania, he was kind of working towards it, but didn't know how to handle it from what I'm seeing. Didn't know how to handle it.
Because most of them were still Korean or because even now, I think people forget there are Chinese and Japanese idols in these groups. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure how at the time global this was. The only real global person at this time was Alex. So,
which then later on also became Leah, because Leah's from Brazil. She's Brazilian. So,
and she's half Japanese. Yes. But let me continue. So in October of 2016, DR Music announced that Rania was undergoing a lineup change after it was reported the group was performing at events with different members. So in December of 2016, a teaser image featuring silhouettes of 7 members was released, with 4 new members joining the group, consisting of Haimi with new members Jiyoon, Solji with new member Yumin, Alex with new member Habu, and Sam, who later changed her name to Yina. And the group also changed their name to BP Rania, standing for Black Pearl Rania, and will be the new name going forward. So then during a promotion of a B-side track called Make Me Ah, dear Lord, DR Music announced that, saying that out loud, I was just like, They announced that Alex would be on a temporary hiatus after receiving an acting offer, but promised she was still in the group and rejoined once she returned to Korea. I don't actually know how true that is because I wasn't there at the time. So if she did get acting jobs, good for her. If that wasn't the reason, maybe there's a YouTube video out there about it. In June of 2017, Yina announced on her Instagram account she was leaving the group, and the company confirmed, saying she was leaving to focus on acting, and the group would have their comeback as a 6-member group. Then in August, after the comeback of their mini album Refresh 7th, it was announced that Alex was no longer a member and the group would continue as 5. So then of May of 2018, the company announced Yumin's departure from the group, and that Rania was preparing for a June comeback with 3 new songs and 5 remakes of previous songs. And then that same day, they also announced a new member. I feel like this was spell check. It says Namphone, and I don't think that's correct, but we're just going to keep going. There was a new member. So Larissa and 2 other members, along with Younghoon and Seunghyun, were introduced as members of Rania in August 2019 through an announcement video for the upcoming appearance at a K-pop concert in Romania. However, after looking through a wiki page where I got some information that's going to be in the description box for all my resources, I saw they had made a chart, and under positions, they put an A. So after me seeing that, I realized they never actually got to perform in Rania this whole time. It seemed like they announced they were going to be in the group, but like they never actually got a chance to be in the group Rania. Like they never got a chance to perform with them. They never, seems like, recorded any songs with the girls in Rania. Don't know what happened there. But anyway, because that was of August of 2019, and then obviously 2020, the pandemic hit. So in June of 2020, Haimi announced through their social media accounts that she was the only member left of Rania, and that it'd be strange to release an album under Rania when there was no other members, which again doesn't make sense to me because they had Larissa there, who is Leah and changed her name to Leah later, and Younghoon was still there. But anyway, I guess because literally almost everyone left besides the 3 of them, they started a whole ass new group, and that's how we got Blackswan. And then obviously later they added Fatu and Judy. And that's the brief history I can give of Rania.
And he thinks that his son won't be able to manage DR Music.
Listen.
Because, geez, I didn't realize how much changes happened. Like,
and that's why Philip really made that comment about, like, they were having too many member changes. It's towards the later. I'm kind of giving a spoiler, but he does say that. This is the reason. Ronnie is the reason he said that.
But he still made changes for members during Blackswan too.
That's because of the drama, though. I don't know if anything would have happened if the drama didn't happen. But I like the new lineup of Blackswan. So it's like, you know, it's one of those you never know.
Because again, if you really think about it, so the originals from Blackswan, really the only one that's left currently is Fatu.
Yes.
Other than that, we've had 3 different changes added to that group. I'm still thinking like why he thinks, okay.
All right, let's get back to the actual doc. Yes.
All right, continuing on, we jump to seeing Blackswan preparing for their first concert in Belgium. Blackswan is popular in Belgium because of Fatu being from there. This also proves that, in their perspective, this also proved that they are an international group. We get a little background glimpse of how Fatu entered the industry. Fatu was 22, 23 years old when she first went to South Korea. And on that first trip, she got connected with a modeling agency. To her luck, the CEO of the modeling agency knew the CEO of DR Music. She went on to be a trainee for the next year after that. And then just like a little side note, it's, with her being in South Korea, it almost took her 2 years without seeing her family physically, which to me is crazy. And I know that that's something that's a part of, the K-pop industry. Even some of the artists that live within the same country will go years without seeing their family in person because of how busy and how crazy the schedule is for not only just the trainees, but also once they become idols and they debut as a group.
Yeah.
Moving on, we now get introduced to Starship. The main K-pop group they have that you might know is Monsta X. After 5 years of the success of Monsta X, the company decided to launch a new boys idol group, Cravity, that debuted on April 14th, 2020. Consists of 9 members.
Accent's coming out, huh?
It is. It is. All right. I might need your help on some of these names. So we have 9 members. So Sarim, Alan, Jungmo. I don't know if that's how you would pronounce that.
Either that or Jungmo.
Jungmo, Wombin, Jesus, Wonjin, Minhee, and we have Hyunjun, Taeyong, and Sungmin. The biggest hurdle they had was the timing of their debut. Right at the beginning of COVID-19, the performances they were doing at that time were in front of empty seats, cameras, and the staff, with fans making jokes. Isn't Cravity a digital group? Are they even real? As Alan says himself, at the heart of K-pop is the fandom, because without the fans' presence, we wouldn't go for too long, which in introspect, like, it is true. Any type of group in K-pop needs their fan base. And that's the one thing that I truly believe that K-pop, the industry itself, crafted so well, was how to make these fan bases, like, not necessarily be loyal, because we do have people, like ourselves, that tend to be multi-stans. But you can see the loyalty and how much effort and work goes into caring for the fans. I'll put that in parentheses.
In quotation marks.
Quotation marks, because
got a little out of hand, but has its good and its bad.
That's a whole nother conversation, though.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother conversation, because we'll be here for like hours if we jump onto that. We jump back to Blackswan. One day before the concert in Belgium, we get to meet Leah and learn a little about her background. Leah was born and raised in Brazil. Her father was born in Brazil, but his parents were from Japan. Leah submitted a video of her singing and dancing to DR Music Weekly once she found out that they were looking for a Brazilian trainee. After 6 months, they flew her out to South Korea for training. Again, no ages were given, no timeline was given. So I'm really wondering how old she was.
Can I also say something that might sound shady?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if a company really wants you in their agency, you wouldn't have to send audition videos on a weekly basis. So I feel like Philip had said something about that too, how she just continued to send videos
weekly for 6 months. For 6 months.
It was kind of like a, all right, girl, damn, like, stop, we'll give you a chance type thing, and not a, oh, she's really good. Like, I'm just saying.
But here's the thing too, and I debated so much with Touch and Go about this, but his father even says it too, where they pick certain trainees because of where they were from. And I know later on Fatu makes certain comments about that whole entire situation.
And he says it again, too, after one of the situations happened, because like you had kept saying in the beginning, he wanted to make a global group. I need everyone to keep that in mind.
Yes.
Of how we're just remember the phrase, he wanted to make a global group. Because it's going to come, throughout this whole thing of like
it's preface. Like it's completely something that keeps commenting and keeps getting brought up is how they wanted to create a global group, and essentially be known for making a global group in the K-pop industry.
Which I'll bring this up now before we continue. I know we still got a lot ways to go. Yeah, I'm going to let you finish. But it's just, it annoys me because I also remember, I think with the new lineup, they did a interview, I want to say with CNN. And there's always been controversy of like, again, especially with this new lineup, and it'll be brought up in the documentary too, is Blackswan a K-pop group? And it's just interesting to me because now we have other K-pop companies making quote unquote global groups. Honestly, I want to say it is because of Blackswan. Like, no matter how I feel about Mr. Yoon, he was onto something as far as trying to keep like K-pop alive and maybe seeing the future of how, like, because, you know, I do want to say sometimes I'm not sure of like the way K-pop is going is because of Korea's like birth rate, because we all know it's very low. So it's like, what does that look like for the future of K-pop when it comes to like Korean, like actual native Korean idols? But at the same time, it's like people always try to make Cat's Eye a quote unquote K-pop group when they're not. They don't even like stay in Korea. They're in LA, but because they were formed by a big K-pop company using the K-pop model, they get mixed in with K-pop a lot. Yet with Blackswan, people want to say they're not K-pop, even though they are living in Korea. These girls are going on Korean variety shows. They are speaking in Korean. They are singing in Korean. Like, they're going to all these Korean not award shows, but I know there's some places they've been to for like promotions and stuff. And I think recently they went to like Seoul fashion show. So it's like, okay, they're doing all this stuff literally still promoting like Korean culture, but they're not K-pop. But we're going to say this other girl group that's all the way in the States is K-pop because they are produced by Hype. Okay. And don't get me wrong, I love both. So it makes me mad. And yes, I'm going to point it out because I know how K-pop stans are. I don't care if people get mad at me. I also think there's a colorism problem. I will straight up say it.
Oh, there is. Absolutely. I just literally
will not say Blackswan is a K-pop group. And also that I'll talk about it when we talk about our next episode. I'll spoil. We are going to talk about Popstar Academy. And again, the way I feel like I love the girls down, but that also goes into my colorism problem. I'm just saying.
You're not wrong.
So
you're not wrong. I think when it comes to this, I will have to give it up to him because he is the first one to make a global group. He even tried it when he did Reina. Like, he did try, and he's been trying. And Blackswan, you know, hopefully they continue to succeed.
Yeah, but like, I want people to realize that there was the argument. Blackswan. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's been there for a while. And like, again, it even gets brought up in the documentary too of like, are they considered a K-pop group because they don't have any Korean members? So it's like, let's not pretend because the Blackswan, we're not seeing a rise of these quote unquote global groups by K-pop companies. Because I don't think if it wasn't for them, JYP would have cared to make his little group, which is already having their problems. Vicha. Let's be honest, I really don't think there would have been a Cat's Eye. I don't. I mean, I know Hype has been trying to expand globally anyway, so...
Yeah, but they're doing it outside of Korea with them having a headquarters in the U.S.
That's what I mean.
No, I know.
We're going to continue to say the group that internationally, but that's in Korea isn't K-pop.
No, I agree. I 100% agree with you. It's wild. It's completely wild. And I think, to be completely honest, I think that's how they should have gone about it with this documentary for Blackswan. I think that should have been more of what the conversation was about than some of the stuff that was talked about. Granted, I mean, they didn't go into too much details and they completely, you know, disregarded a whole bunch of their prior artists that they had, because let's be honest, there were artists, they did debut. So, and I still don't agree with how they handled a lot of the situations that have been going on.
Yeah. Wow. And but that's another thing too, that I think the struggle is with. It's like, you do have girls from different parts of the world trying to survive under Korean system that they're not used to, especially growing up differently, like culturally and all that. So it's like, they're going to handle it the way they would handle Koreans in an idol group, not realizing that international people have different standards, especially when it does come to certain things like mental health that we will get into. I do blame some of the stuff that happened to Leah on the company. I do.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's funny because he touches up on that too. There's a comment that I later on end up pointing out that he says, but his actions show otherwise.
I feel like Philip was really the only one who was more understanding because he did have time to be abroad in a Western country. So
yeah, we'll get back into that one. We'll get back into that dynamic between, father and son there. Going back to Jessi in Seoul, she was getting ready for her first Europe tour without an agency or a management team, hitting 5 cities in 2 weeks. Leading up to the tour, she needed to do everything herself, from music, production, wardrobe, and planning. Jessi talks a little bit more about how and why she left P Nation. The last song she made under the label was Zoom. And at that time, her contract was coming up, but she wasn't hearing anything about a renewal. A week after the song dropped, Psych dropped a song that featuring and produced by Suga from BTS.
And that's why I said what I said earlier about Psy, just to let you know.
Oh, I know. I know. I know. Psy was the CEO at the time, but it seemed his focus was on his career as an idol. Jessi wasn't about to let herself be another washed-up artist, so she left P Nation to start on her own path. On the first stop during rehearsals, Jessi was starting to lose her voice. It makes me wonder if there was other things in the background that was happening between them.
I think so. I think I did hear they weren't agreeing on how the direction of her music should be. Like I said, allegedly, sometimes I guess it seems like Psy tries to make his artists make types of music that he does. And it seems like Jessi wasn't agreeing with that. So
yeah. Plus, on top of that, it's just, I think every artist goes through this where, okay, we're making hit after hit after hit after hit. We could even touch base on, with BTS, with RM. RM even does this in his current discography for his solo projects, on like how there's a certain image, there's a certain package, that as a group you are for the label. And so it becomes harder for the artist to express themselves the way that they want to express. Like eventually every single person grows up. They experience life, whatever it is in the background, right? That we don't get to see. But these artists, their way of expressing themselves is through making this music. So tying them down to, oh, you could only do hits. Oh, you could only do like these poppy little dancing types of music. It's tiring after a certain point. So it's nice to see. And I think that's exactly what was happening with Jessi. With Jessi, it was just like, I'm not just this one persona. Like I have other as well as a human being, as a person. So.
And it's funny too that we are talking about this because we were talking about sort of like along this topic in the Discord, yesterday? I think of like, no, it wasn't in the Discord. I think Gina was on a live yesterday. That's what I'm thinking of. And then they got a topic of music. And it's just like these companies, well, one, I know I had made a comment there talking about it too, how like companies don't take risks anymore. Cause it's a whole music industry problem when it comes to just letting artists put hits out because that's what people only consume. The songs are shorter. No one really pulls out like full bodies of albums that like tell stories anymore. There are artists that still do that, but they're not obviously mainstream, or if they are mainstream, it's like far and few. So it's really just like an industry thing of putting out the hits. And also when I was like, artists or companies don't let artists take risk anymore of like new ideas, I also just realized like they don't let them grow. Now that you said that, it's like, well, if they have a niche, they want them to stick to that niche because it's what makes them popular. Well, they don't let them like change or like try something new because, again, it's part of the risk factor. They don't want it to like put it out and then it bombs and they're just like, well, we told you. And then all they care about is money and stuff. So it's
and here's like, my thing too, is that, so you know how we both agree K-pop really did hound down and has a way of handling on fan base, right? But here's the thing, that the other part of that equation that they are not adding is that, okay, you created this group, you also have this fan base now. They're both going to grow. Do you not want to see that evolvement, you know? And fans, like you and I, we've agreed, we've talked about this. We love RM's projects. We love his solo parts because he's showing different parts of himself as he's grown, as he's gone through these experiences. We as people, as adults, we also go through changes. So seeing someone else that you idolize or that you connect with, seeing them go through that too, it's just, it makes them seem more human. And it's all like, why don't you want to do that as a company?
Because that's the problem in K-pop. We're not supposed to look at them as humans. Don't you know that, Lala? They're idols. They're not humans.
Well, they are, but
I know. I was being sarcastic.
I know. No, because there's people that actually truly believe it. You know, that they believe them as, they just see them as like machines, and it's all like, no. But
trust me, I came across some interesting tweets and screenshots, I guess, from comments of TikTok of Hobie's new release of the LV bag with Don Toliver talking about, this can't be J-Hope. K-pop companies don't let them curse, and talk about, didn't Jungkook just put out a whole song about fucking like 2 years ago? What are we doing?
And didn't RM curse throughout his entire recent album?
Talking about how heartbroken he was from relationships.
Like, they're grown men.
Listen, I have this fight all the time, and it just never gets through the brain. It never gets through the brain.
But that's also, and that's the blame on the company. And that's what I mean. Like, if the companies were to really hone in on this and support not only the artist, but also realize like, hey, they're growing, but they're growing up, they're becoming adults, but so is their fan base.
But it's like,
how are we not allowing the niche to change?
Yes, but I think that with that argument also comes with, I don't think K-pop was ever supposed to be a genre outside of teen. If we really sit and think about it, that's why they debut idols so young. And then when they get to a certain age, and then like the 7-year contract, even though I think the 7-year contract was because of the TVXQ incident that happened and JYJ, we don't got time to get into that. But if you really sit there and think about it, like, I mean, now they're letting, because now we're in a different time, because we are seeing like groups that were in consider second gen, they're coming back with like music and stuff. And like even groups that are around our age that were in like third gen, they're staying for a lot longer, or like even if they go do solo stuff, they're still staying in the group. So I think the industry in itself, we are just seeing a change. But before that, I don't think they truly thought they would see this genre be outside of teenagers, even though us adult K-pop fans always are like, why do they always consider us teenagers? Like not all of us are teenagers. But I truly think that's what the industry was supposed to be for at the beginning. Because I don't know if a lot of people know, even though we say like K-pop's not that popular internationally, it's really not in Korea either. Like it's also still considered a niche there, if we're being completely honest. Mm-hmm. So,
I mean, that's true. And I mean, it's already been, multiple artists have said this. They have outgrown the genre of K-pop.
Right.
And I think companies need to start expanding. And that's only going to help them if they do.
I think it'll help them if they want to continue this global push that they've been trying since like 2020.
But not only is it going to help them, but it's also going to help the artists. It's going to help the fan base too. Like at the end, it's just going to benefit everyone. So it's just crazy to me how they were still not necessarily trying, because some companies are trying to expand, but they're still stuck on like this niche and not knowing how to move forward with it to be able to expand it more the way that they want to.
It's like when you get in a system, why break it if it's not broken in their eyes?
Because it's already broken.
And if it's been working for so long.
Yeah, but it's already broken.
Well, listen, I didn't say it wasn't. I'm saying in their minds, it's not broken.
Yeah.
They have a system. They're going to stick with it. It's been working for this long. Why change it? To them.
Well, I mean, if they want to later on become irrelevant, what else is going to happen? You know what I mean? I mean, granted, yes, there's always going to be teens. There's always going to be, but let's be real. Who's the one paying for all of this shit? Who's the one going out there buying all the merch, getting all these freaking expensive tickets for these concerts?
It's us, the adults.
It's the fucking adults. Like, what? Hello? You're so busy wanting to make money and everything like that, then you fucking have to grow. I'm sorry. I'm getting so upset now.
It's fine. It is fine.
I'm getting heated. It just, there's so many issues with just the entertainment industry itself. Obviously, we have K-pop, but just the entertainment industry itself, it's just, there's a lot that needs to get better and needs to get worked on. And I doubt, sadly, I don't think we'll see that in our timeline.
No,
maybe.
I say that for a lot of things, but I mean, we'll see.
Maybe, but I highly doubt that. All right. We go back to Cravity. And after 2 long years, they were getting ready for their first live audience concert. Seeing the many hours they practiced just to prepare, hearing their excitement and what pushes them to keep going. The main fear in a lot of idols or even artists is being forgotten. In this industry, there are always new idols coming and going, which
that's probably something too we didn't. Yeah, after our whole discussion we just had, that's another thing too. And I think that's the reason why we feel like the industry so much. They keep pumping out new groups like all the time. Like they don't just let it settle, keep the groups that are active for now and just wait a couple years. Like they're always just pumping going them and out going and going.
I will say that for Starship, I like the fact that they waited 5 years after Monsta X. Like they gave that time to Monsta X to succeed, to see how that was doing. And I'm pretty sure a lot of it too was the company like testing what worked and what didn't, to knowing what to push out for the next group.
Yeah, but they're not doing that now because I mean, IVE is under Starship and they debuted, I think, a year after Cravity, and now they got this new girl group Kiki, which that name anyway.
Okay, I'm not even going to comment on that name. I don't. No, we're not going to touch on that.
That's why I said which, and I stopped talking.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's just move on.
But then again, also, you have Hive. Hive has been pushing out, so at the end of the day, companies are going to see and do what other companies are doing. So if they're seeing other companies pushing out group after group after group, it's like, well, we can't be left behind either. So we got to do.
Well, when's the last time they debuted a K-pop group? I'm not counting Cat's Eye. I thought it was New Jeans. Is it New Jeans? Technically, we don't got time to go into the drama of that, but aren't they technically like the last K-pop group they've debuted? Because it gets confusing since they have all these labels in different countries now, because N-Team is Japanese. I mean, they have Boy Next Door, but under company under Hybe. I don't know when Boy Next Door debuted.
I don't know either.
Maybe it's Boy Next Door, but
I think it was Boy Next Door
groups, but they're not technically under like the Korean side. Oh, 2023. Okay, yeah. So the latest is Boy Next Door.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, I didn't realize they were so
young
or so new. Okay.
And they're making it. I mean,
so
yeah. I mean, from what I know, at least from what I'm hearing from the grapevines, is they're kind of making it out there. They're making their name known.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what I mean. Like, they're still pushing out groups. We'll just have to wait and see if they end up pushing out another group. But then again, we have BTS coming back. So
I think they are. Could have sworn I've been seeing for the longest time, like for the past couple months, even last year, Adore's trying to push out a boy group, even though they got all this other stuff they need to be worried about right now. But
I mean, they might have a chance. They might have a better chance with the boy group. Because, you know, the curse of hype and girl groups.
But so the only one that succeed is La Seraphim, apparently. I mean, they did have to go through the scandal at the beginning with the one member leaving. So I think a lot of people forget they debuted at 6 and not 5. Other than that, though, they're thriving.
They are thriving. That is like their one good success female group.
Yeah, they're under Source. So
I will tell you, I'll tell you what, though. Depending on what type of group gets released next from Hybe, I will be very, very surprised if it's a girl group after all this drama.
I also heard that they're in preparations of making another international boy group. So like Geffen and Hybe, since they did Cat's Eye, now they're doing a boy version. So
can I just...
That was the hardest sigh I think I've ever seen you take. Go ahead, Lala, what you got to say?
Can we just leave the boy groups to be in, I don't want to say international. Just don't bring any Western artists into it.
I don't know, because I know SM had debuted their group, the Dear Alice one, where I think they're all British. I don't know how that's going. So I also don't know if they're like...
Clearly, it isn't fully working if we don't know. If we're not keeping up with that, if it's not grabbing our attention in one form or another. Like, I didn't know that.
Is it Alice or Dear Alice? Did I say Dear Alice? I think they're called Dear Alice.
Also, what kind of name is that?
I don't... I said they're British, so no offense to our British listeners out there, okay?
We love you guys, but...
We do. We love all of our listeners from all around the world, okay?
It's just when it comes to artists, when it comes to a certain type of niche grabbing certain type of internationals, it just, I don't know. Double-edged sword? Yeah, I would say it would just be a double-edged sword. Anyways, before we continue on and off trail here.
God, we've gotten off topic so much.
It's fine. It all comes back to this, though. So
I mean, it does.
It's not like we're completely going off topic and just, somewhere completely different. It's just the problems that we've seen, what we agree, disagree with on how certain things get handled.
Yeah.
If everything was known. But back in Belgium, Blackswan performs with huge success. Fatou finally being able to perform in her homeland. With great pressure, of course, trying to be careful not to say the wrong thing or mess up while performing. With her being presumably, with her being the first Black K-pop idol, that brings another layer of pressure. One thing for sure is Fatou was excited to see her family. The rest of the members also being able to meet her family. 6 weeks after the concert, the girls are back in Seoul in the practice room. And here comes the drama. 2 of the girls, Fatou and Leah, have some tension between them. After the concert in Belgium, the members had dinner at Fatou's family's home. From the little that was said by each girl, words were exchanged, and Fatou felt her family was being disrespected. That's how the episode ends.
It's just the fact of rewatching this and then seeing it from their perspective. But again, seeing all this online for me was just a lot.
Okay,
that's why that goes part of my conflicting with Leah because of the things I saw when it was happening.
So give us your perspective of an outsider, of a fan that was following.
I mean, I don't remember everything because, again, this all happened, in like 2021, 2022. I just remember seeing people that were claiming to be Leah fans, especially like from Brazil and stuff, like all of a sudden attacking Fatu a lot on Twitter. Obviously, people don't know how to have arguments or be, disrespectful without being racist. So being very racist to her. And I think Fatu actually did put out her explanation of what happened on Twitter, and they made her take it down. And kind of like not go on a hiatus, but like a social media hiatus. And it was just a lot because why is the company and yet again, like Leah not controlling the solos of her fans, attacking someone that's in your group? Like it was getting bad, calling her a bully, saying they're mistreating Leah. Even her mom getting online saying that like Leah's being mistreated by the members and she's being bullied and stuff. And it's like, I don't know. It was just a lot. And then obviously calling Fatu a liar. She's trying to save face for, again, putting her side of the story online. Because, I mean, we'll get into it, I think, in the next episode of how they did try to do like a live to clear things up. And like Leah wouldn't say anything or like not even say it was a misunderstanding, but like she just stayed quiet and didn't say anything or let alone even apologize. Because she felt like she was wronged. I'm like, what? You were the one who sicked your fans after not only another member of your group, but of course it had to be the Black member. It was already getting shit for just being in an idol group because we know how K-pop is. I'm sorry. Like there are a lot of sides of K-pop that's just extremely racist. Being a Black K-pop fan and this like involved in this industry and fandom since 2018. I've seen a lot. So it was also just very triggering, especially after going through the whole 2020 thing and the George Floyd thing and then being an ARMY, the whole Yoongi thing. And it was just like, my God, can't escape it.
Sadly.
And unfortunately.
That's obviously going to be, again, something else that we probably will not see changed in our lifetime.
So that made me look at her completely sideways. So,
and then
you can easily at least get online and at least say something to your fans. So the fact that she had posted that when she was locked in the bathroom, claiming that not only Fatu, but also her family somehow was bullying her because she missed her family. It's like, what? Also, these people open up their homes to you and like fed you guys after a showcase and was being hospital? No, not hospital. What word am I looking for?
Hospitality?
Yes, that. But there's another. It doesn't matter. Yes, you know what I'm trying to say. And it's like, yes, I understand you missed your family because like how you pointed out earlier, Fatu hasn't seen her family in 2 years. I don't know how long it's been since Leah saw her mother.
That's the reason
like,
too,
to throw a tantrum like that. And I guess it shows her age. And like was freaking out like that and being rude to everyone. It's like, girl, what?
But here's my other thing too. And here's my other take. It's like you yourself, we don't know how old she was when she was part of DR Music, when she became a trainee and how long she's been a trainee or how long she's been away from her family. Because none of that is said. She doesn't even give a timeline for that either. But my thing is, you know that feeling. You know the feeling of missing your family. So how is it that you're going to try to rip that away from someone else who understands that? If you're saying, because in majority of K-pop groups, what is the main picture that they always try to print out for the fans? How close all the members are, how they're like either brothers or sisters, whatever the case may be, right? Depending on what the group is. But essentially, they try to make this group seem like a sisterhood, right? So wouldn't you be happy seeing one of your sisters being happy, being able to see their family? Eventually, at some point, you will also be able to see your family. Wouldn't you want your members, your so-called sisters, to also be happy for you? So how are you not reciprocating that? I mean, I understand it could be triggering because you're seeing a mother and daughter and you're realizing, damn, I miss my mom. But at the same time, it should be like, oh, but I'm glad she's able to see her mom. Like, that's two separate things. That's two.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that also, I don't know. I don't know if that also goes
for that, like
empathy,
I can't,
an empathy thing or not. Like, does she lack empathy for others? Oh God.
or she's self-centered.
If any of her fans fucking find us and then attack us. I don't. Anyway.
But it's one of those things where it's just, you're being welcomed into a home and all that stuff. And my thing too is that obviously we get into this next episode, but when they go to Fatu's house, Philip at some point decides, you know what? I'm going to give the girls this break and I'm going to let them hang out with Fatu's family. He removed himself and the rest of the staff as well from the home, and just left the girls there so that way they can enjoy some downtime. And then that's when the drama started. So my thing is like, do you really necessarily need your manager there to have you, to tame you, to make sure that you are behaving the way that you need to?
So I was just doing quick calculations. And it seems like in 2019, she would have been around 18. So when all this was happening, she was probably around like 19, 20. If she's been in the group, like under the company since 2019, and you minus that from when she was born, which is 2001, it came up 18. So she was technically an adult. I mean, yes, still young, but like she's 19, 20 acting like this. It's only 2025.
Listen, some people are just not meant to be idols.
I'm trying not to say it into the mic. Just look into my eyes. Okay. We just had a telepathy. Okay. Yep. I hope you understood what I said.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, I know.
Let's make sure.
Do you have any more thoughts for episode 1?
We went on for a very long time for episode 1. So let's get into episode 2.
Yes. Episode 2, fighting. The episode starts off with the fans giving their thoughts. When a K-pop idol is involved in a scandal, either one or two things happen. Their label addresses it immediately and denies it, or the label doesn't say anything at all. Once again, these are interviews where we think are from KCON in California.
I honestly really would like to know how the answers may have different if they ask these questions to Korean fans. I'm just very curious because, there's always, I don't want to say a stigma between Korean fans and international fans. I would be so curious to know how they would answer these questions.
Especially like the next questions, because I think one of the questions was, what type of scandal would make you like disassociate from that idol or that group, and obviously here in the Western, not saying that we don't, how can I put this? I don't want to say that we're more lenient in a certain way, but we kind of are. Again, I think one of the answers that the fans said was like, if they are involved in like drugs, but we already know we have Western artists that sing about that stuff. They could be doing
heavy drugs, not like
just weed. And they're still going. They're not necessarily canceled, So like in obviously South Korea, the culture is different over there. If they're doing like heavy duty like drugs and stuff like that, like that's it. You're removed. If that comes out to light,
if they just do weed.
Yeah.
How many idols have been removed because they've been caught with weed? I know.
It just, so yeah, I will have to agree. I would like to see what the K-pop, like the K fans, like what their thought process would be. But at the same time, we already know the culture. We already know, like, look what happened with Yoongi and the scooter incident.
But it's like, that's what I mean, because like sometimes the majority or the minority be louder than majority. So it's like, I see these things, but I'm like, okay, I know that's not like what everyone thinks, but I just don't know, because the internet, the algorithm sometimes, you know? And it's like when the whole funeral wreaths happened, at least for Yoongi, I'm not even going to talk about the guy from Rise. That was like 2 girls that organized it out of like how many fans on the Korean side that was defending him. So it's just like, but again, you also don't know how these people think when you ask them these questions or if they even lie. So I don't know. At least with the Western fans, I feel like Western fans are more honest, obviously, as we can see in this doc. I just wanted to see like maybe if the Korean fans would have tried to have been more, I just don't know.
It would have been nice. It would be nice to see that at some point in the future, just to see like what their thoughts would be.
Because I mean, I'll still be getting in trouble with dating. So it's just like,
I know. And over here, we don't care. Like, as long as the artist is happy, like, okay, they're dating someone. Like, we know that they date people. And it's completely reasonable and respected if they're wanting to keep that side private to themselves, you know? Like, obviously, we're not expecting them being like, oh my God, you gotta let us know who you're dating, when you're dating, and what happens, and this and that. Like, no, like, do you, boo?
Yeah, it's not like here in the West where like sometimes they do use dating as part of like PR. Like they do. Come on now.
Yeah, I think that's why we also like don't care very much like about that, because we don't even really know what's true or what's false until years later something happens and someone talks.
Yeah.
From one of those parties. But anyways, before we derail again, back in Seoul with Blackswan, we get a little more details on the fight between Fatu and Leah. Fatu and her mom get emotional after not seeing each other in 2 years. And Leah starts crying shortly after and mentions she wants to go home. They haven't even had dinner yet. Leah got more upset once the other members tried to convince her to hang on for a while at least until they had dinner, and then they would go home. Leah went into the bathroom and cried and posted on her social, "This moment is fucking boring." Fatu saw the post that Leah made. Once back at the label company, Fatu wasn't talking to Leah at all, unless absolutely necessary. Leah felt bullied by the girls because she felt left out. Leah spoke with her mom, and her mom decided to take it to the fans, which caused a domino effect. It started fan fights within the fandom.
See, that's my whole problem, because, girl, you're the one that isolated yourself. But because they're not, and they try to comfort you. It's like you can't even say they didn't try to comfort you. But because they gave up, because they saw you weren't budging, now they're bullying you. I don't understand how that makes any sense. They also probably just left you alone to give you your space to calm down. And then her mom trying to take this to the fans. Like, what are the fans going to do besides cause all this ruckus?
And on top of that, you're just all you're doing at that point too is you're gonna cause more stress onto your child, because then the company is gonna get upset, because at that point you're not just affecting the girls, you're affecting the company. Like, the company is gonna have to step in, and then there's gonna be pressure of like, you guys need to start figuring this out. Obviously there's already that, right, and behind the scenes, but now this adds extra pressure when you're adding the fans into the mix. So it's just like,
I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm with the agreement of fans don't need to know everything that be happening. Okay.
Nope. This could have simply just stayed between them. But of course, other people like to think that they know otherwise. And I just
have a sit down and discuss like adults, because I mean, that right there, her posting on her, I think that was her Instagram story. She posted that this moment's boring. Like, that's disrespectful. Her and on top went of that, out of their way to make dinner for you guys, invite you there, because they do know, since they haven't seen Fatu in a while, to try to like do something since you're all probably missing your families, and you're going to say this moment is boring.
And not only that, so let's I'm going to play devil's advocate, right?
Sure, let's you can, because I won't.
Oh, no, that's fine. But it's not going to be into defending her. Let's say that all of this went down, right? Fatu decided not to make a big scene because she was with her family, whatever. Imagine if Leah's social post stayed there. Where were they before they were at Fatu's family's house? They had just did a concert. They had just finished doing a concert. They had just finished doing a performance. To see an artist then later on post in their social media, this moment is fucking boring. Would you not take it as like, wait a minute. You were I just saw you. I just saw you. I just cheered for you. And now you're saying you're fucking bored?
I didn't even think about that.
Like there was no thought, no regard whatsoever of how that could have been taken. So it's like it's not even with Fatu and her family. Obviously, I'm with Fatu. Like, if you disrespect my family and stuff like that, there's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
There's going to be a huge problem. And chances are you will probably, if I don't have to because of work, you will never hear from me again.
Especially since her family's putting nothing but nice to, again, all of them.
Yeah. You can see after the concert, her mom and her stepdad and her brother, they go, backstage or whatever. And the first people that get a hug from Fatu's mom are the girls. Fatu was literally the last one to actually get a hug from her own mom, because the girls like kind of ran to her and was like, oh my God, mom. And they even call her mom and stuff like that. They cry because they see her and stuff. And it just like, so you see
Leah
that
was also making like self-deprecating comments about herself. If you didn't notice, like, when Leah was standing between Fatu and her mom, she's like, you must be so proud of your daughter. And I think her mom said, I'm proud of all of you. And she's like, no, it's just Fatu. Like, you're just proud of her, not the rest of us. I'm like, girl,
that's not how that goes.
She is. I'm so confused.
Like, and that's what I mean. Like, I understand that you're wanting to see your own mom, but how many times do we see, and we've seen it, with BTS, and I've seen it with 17, where the members' parents take on the members and they're like, I gained X amount of sons.
Yes.
Or daughters and stuff like that. And that's how Fatu's mom was seeing it. Like, to her, it's all like, I'm proud of all of you girls, because there wouldn't be Blackswan without all of you. And
like, Fatu's not a solo artist. She's with the group, obviously. She's with y'all more than she's with me. So
exactly. And again, it's that perspective. It's that picture that's being painted by not just the company, but also the group. It's like, you guys are sisters. You're essentially my daughters now too. So I am proud of you guys. And so for Leah to try to just like separate herself from that, it's kind of like, that's a you thing, girl. Like, what are you
already
doing?
Starting right there?
Yeah. You're getting loved and you're getting accepted by a mother. Yes, it's not your mother, but still, at the end of the day, it's still a mother who is still caring for you, who's wanting to give you love. You're just not wanting to accept it and take it.
Wild.
Crazy. Crazy.
And so, it's just like, that's where my confliction comes in, because it's like, there is such a thing as, being hard on yourself, insecurity and all that. So like, that part I understand, but it's also one of those things where I don't like, and this is going to sound so rude, but it's like, there's certain people that uses like things that they're going through, but like the way they project to others, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like, because there's something wrong with me, I have to like be mean to everyone else, because I'm just so either unhappy or I'm going through this and like unsolved trauma, or like, even if it's a medical thing, things like that. And it's just like, I understand the hardship, but it's like, it's just going to be harder on you to continue to act this way.
Because at the end, I feel like people in that regard, their main case is to turn everything on themselves. Like they're wanting to be the center of attention, but in such a negative way. They go about it. Yeah. They go about it without realizing the repercussions of like, you're literally about to do the complete opposite of what you're trying to do.
And it makes it more negative for her, as we're going to continue to see. Like you made yourself more miserable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And not to disregard that, you know, mental illness isn't a thing, depression isn't a thing, you know, because that stuff does exist. But I feel in this particular situation, she made the situations a lot worse than what they needed to be for herself and the group. Sadly, it was something, you know, that affected everyone.
Well, there's also things I heard about like behind the scenes too. And I think they brought it up in the doc. That's why I'm also conflicted with her. And then when it comes to like the mental health thing, I'm like, I understand you probably were going through some things, especially being in a country that you're not familiar with on your own. But there were some incidents, it did seem like she was using it as an excuse. And I don't know if she was as sad as she was claiming.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I should just say it now or just wait till we get to that.
You can just say it now.
Oh, because like they did bring up how like on the moment she was going on breaks, like it's not like she was at home all the time. Like she wasn't showing up to practice, but she was still hanging out with friends. Going to clubs when she's not supposed to. Like they even said she was breaking a lot of things in their contract, but for some reason they just let it slide for her. But if they had like an all Korean group,
none of that wouldn't have slide.
Even like Judy and Young-Hoon talked about like their curfew and the company's always asking them where they are. But for some reason, Leah was able to get away with that. So that's where I'm sitting here like, okay, if it was truly like mental like depression and other things going on to where like you're not even able to go to practice to leave the house, that's one thing. But if you're not going to practice, showing up and you're still going out partying, like
it was in a way, it's manipulative.
Yeah.
It's just her way to try to manipulate the situation again to gain whatever. I've tried to think about it and I've tried to think of it in like her point of view, and I just don't see what she would gain by throwing these tantrums, because that's literally what they are.
I mean, I don't know what she wanted them to do. They were already doing a lot that I've ever seen really a Korean company do, especially when it comes to mental health. We know that's a touchy subject in Korea alone.
Or do you think she was trying to get rid of Fatu?
That's why I said about the racism. Okay. And if she was, I wouldn't be fucking surprised.
Because that's the only other thing that I can think of. Because it was two things. She either wanted to get out of the group, which eventually, you know, that's her prerogative, that she no longer wants to be part of Blackswan, or she was trying to get rid of Fatu.
I never even thought of that, but like now that you actually said it out loud, makes me just not like her even more. Because that honestly could have been a possibility now that I sit here and you think about the documentary and all that. I mean, I know she mostly focused about her, but like there was too many things that we were seeing that was specifically targeted to Fatu that did not make any sense.
And the fact that the company was letting so many things slide, now that you mention that, that's the reason why I came to that conclusion. She thought she was favored by the company. Because then essentially she kind of was.
Which I don't understand why. Because I even said that too.
Because she's from Brazil. And at the end of the day, this company's main focus was to build a global group. Like again, it's all there. It's all there.
I know, because
right?
they even said, no. I think Brazil was like one of the biggest consumers of K-pop. So to have the fans, and I'm disgusted. I'm just so, I don't even know.
Yeah. So we continue on, jumping back to Berlin with Jess. As each show continues, her voice is gradually getting worse. By the time that they get to the third spot in Paris, as Jessi says, that's when all hell broke loose. When they got to their hotel, it turned out that the organizer who booked the hotel booked it through a third party, and the person who booked it had to be present and they weren't. So Jessi and her team were left with no hotel at 3 a.m.
As
Paris.
a person who used to work in hotels, I'm telling y'all now, yes, booking through the hotel is more expensive, but when problems come up, it's so much easier to get your money back, to do cancellations. I'm telling you, stop booking through these third parties. I don't care if it saves you money. It gives such a headache for everybody. For you as the customer, for the front desk people, for the hotel. Like, look at this situation. I didn't even think about this in other countries.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that, and it's like that too, like certain hotels, especially if there's an age limit, like the person booked it has to be there. Like I know the hotel I worked at, I have to see the credit card that was used to book the hotel because they had to pay like the first night in order to reserve the room. It was a smaller family owned, but it's like if the credit card wasn't there and the person who used the credit card wasn't there, like I couldn't accept the reservation. So
it's just crazy. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense, right? But
for fraud purposes. Like, obviously, if they book through third party, I didn't have to go through all those extra steps of like checking IDs. But if they book through us, I had to,
which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even like if you're booking through the hotel, isn't it? Obviously, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's easy to be like, oh, I'm booking this hotel, but the reservation is going to be under XYZ. Because that person's going to be there.
You can do that, but at least for us, we still had to see. Because I know, like, usually, like, for instance, when my dad used to book, like, hotels for me, you know, he would pay for it. But there's a way for, like, Hilton, you can add an extra name. So, like, either name can check in. It could be either his name or, like, the second person's name. So in bigger hotels like that, yes, you can put more than one name, even if you aren't the person that shows up. Just let them know, like, hey, even though I'm booking this person's the one that's staying here. They have to at least know.
Yeah. So
I don't know how it works when it comes to like entertainment though, and booking for like their clients.
Usually for big parties, because like I had to help out like book hotels for like company events. It's usually stated like, hey, this is for company X, Y, and Z. This is how many rooms we need. And then as long as, let's say as long as I gave my name and said, oh, this is for XYZ company, then it was like approved or whatever.
Gotcha.
So, but again, it's like you said, it's the bigger hotels. So the chain hotels that are very known. So.
I mean, it was like that for us too, because like in my area, like I know there was a lot of like golf tournaments and stuff. And like when they did book hotels, I guess we had one specific person that handled group reservations. So like sometimes we wouldn't get names of the individuals, but we would have the name of the group and how many rooms they booked. So like the person would have to tell us they're with this group.
Yeah. All right. So back in Seoul with Philip and Mr. Yoon, they are trying to figure out the best way to control the situation within the group and with their fans. Leah is getting treatment done for mental health. The label wants to make sure she doesn't miss any treatment. One thing Mr. Yoon does explain is that when companies have an all Korean-based group, the companies tend to control them. If the company says don't fight, the group/trainees listen. But when you have a multinational group, the situations get handled differently. And he does comment
earlier,
that
comes to, yeah, like I said earlier, that also comes down to like differences in culture. Like the Korean, especially the way the Korean culture is, especially listening to your elders. That is one thing. But when you're dealing with people from different parts of the world where we respect our elders, but it's not like the way in Korea. So,
and that's the other reason too, why for trainees, especially like when it comes to like global trainees, international trainees, they try to bring them to South Korea and have them live and be under training for at least a year. And it's not just to train on getting better on their dancing, vocals. Of course, there's that aspect, but it's also so they're surrounded by the culture itself. So then they start getting more understanding of like, okay, this is how things are run, which in Leah's situation, she did have that proper training, or at least we think. Now
it's like learning the language and stuff, because, you know, sometimes these people go to Korea and they don't even know a lick of Korean. So it's also a training process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if she knew Korean even before she got to Korea or not. That wasn't explained, but because she said she listened to K-pop, but
yeah, from what I think Mr. Yoon said was, or Philip, I can't remember which one. One of those two said that Leah, her Korean was better than some of like the other applicants that they were getting, like the other auditions. And I'm pretty sure that has to do with the fact that she's half Japanese. So obviously Japanese and Korean, they do say it's easier, obviously, to learn another language if you know one of the other predominant languages in the Asia. So back in Paris, one of Jessi's friends was able to find a hotel in Paris for her and the team. They didn't get to the hotel until possibly 5 or 6 in the morning because she was only able to sleep 3 hours. Her and the team thought it would be best to postpone the concert for at least a few days. When they get a hold of the organizers, they give the green light. But later, Jessi finds out that the organizers never notified the fans or the venue. Their response was, you tell your fans about the show being canceled, which isn't an artist's job. That's usually the labels, but in this case, it was the organizer's job. After tears and frustration, Jessi decides to move forward with the show for that night.
Now, I have a question, because at first when I was watching this, I didn't question that. But is that really the organizer's job, or is it Jessi's job to do that? Should have Jessi at least said, because usually I see both the artists and I don't know if I ever see the actual organizer, though. I usually see artists and venues talk about postponement.
But you see the labels.
Well, yes, the label. I'm trying to think, though.
And I think that's what I don't know. We don't know the details of what the contract of the agreement it was with the organizers.
Right.
Right. But if the organizers are the ones, helping with promoting the tour and doing all that stuff for social media for the fans, then yes, it would fall under them to notify the fans.
Okay. I didn't know, so that's what I was asking. But now that I sit here and think about it, I do think of this one, I don't want to say underrated. What would I consider them? The smaller group that's starting to get a little bigger that helps like groups come to America, the Connect one. And I think when I see their social media, they are the ones that always updates the fans. So that does make sense.
Yeah, because for Card's concert was postponed from last year. And so Connect were the ones to let us know.
Okay.
That it was postponed. And then when it was rescheduled, the dates and all that stuff, they're the ones that were letting the fans know.
Gotcha. So it is the organizer's fault. Okay.
Okay. Back with Cravity, we get a little bit of Alan's history and how he got to Starship, which was by his vocal teacher, who was also teaching vocal lessons at Starship. Once the opportunity came, Alan decided to drop out of high school. We also get a glimpse of how Cravity lives in their dorms, playing games, making food, and having dinner together. All 9 members in one dorm.
I also like how he had to clarify like the dorm is basically an apartment. I mean, like, I feel like we all do that, no? Did we think dorm meant like a college dorm? Or
I don't know. I mean, in the Western, that would be more considered that because of universities.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just apartments. Depending how much money they can afford, they just shove them all in one apartment.
Which is crazy because chances are it's like one bathroom and you have, however many ex-members. That's how it was for like 17. Men. You had 13 members in one freaking dorm. Anyways.
I would leave to go to a convenience store. I'm sorry. I can't.
I mean, it boils down to like all these idols are like, this is exactly what I wanted. This is what I've been aiming to do. So they put up with it. And again, it's something that's already known in the K-pop industry. Like, this is the next steps. So jumping to Black Swan, DR decided that the girls should do some live streams to explain the situations and to also apologize to the fans. The live stream was scripted by the label. Mr. Yoon had a meeting with all the girls and explained his expectations for the group Black Swan. Now, I did mention, that the stream was scripted by the label. So the girls, because you could tell in the episode, as they're doing the recording, you can see them looking off to the side versus looking at the camera itself. So, and
I think they show the screen too with the script.
They show the setup that they have. And obviously we had commented earlier how Leah didn't go on with what was scripted. I think she only said a few things, but when it came to the part of her having to apologize, she didn't do it. So again, it just makes me think, like, you don't really care for the fans either, though, because this is for the fans. This is trying to bring peace back and like trying to move forward and stuff like that. And you're just being stubborn.
Because like she said she didn't feel like she did anything wrong. She didn't do anything wrong. Why apologize for something she, in her words, didn't do wrong?
And then that's
didn't send your fans to attack one of your members online, making a bunch of death threats and being racist and calling her monkey and this, that, and the third. But okay. And your mother also, because actually your mother was truly the one who started this.
And instead of being all like, no, mom, it's fine. Like, don't, it'll get a little figured out. I did notice Leah's like indifference in her body language. She was sitting far away from the members. She wasn't sitting that close to them. Even her body was kind of like the certain way that it was angled. It was like almost facing away from the group members. And like the staff members were trying to tell her, like, sit closer, move closer, to make it seem like they're backed as one group, as they were united. But
because like it almost just seems like calculated to me to prove her point that because she doesn't want to be next to the members that they must be bullying her. Which
when in reality is just her own, she herself causing her own problems. And I bring back that, that whole theory or that whole devil's advocate that I did, where it's like, so let's say again, no one said anything from seeing your post on social media that you did, but the fans see it. And the only thing that comes out of it is like, hey, I just saw you. How is it that you're saying that you're fucking bored? Like, what's going on? Would you then be apologizing to your fan? Because at that point, the tables would be turning towards against her.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't seem, she just doesn't care. And I mean, she says that at plenty of times too, that she no longer cares, no longer wants to be a part of the Black Swan. And it's like, okay, that's fine, but you should at least be grateful for the fans, because whether you succeeded or not, you still got to live a portion of the dream that you wanted. And that's only because of the fans.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess the way she left, it could have been dealt with so much better on her part, on her. So we get back with Jessi, and man, Jessi is a beast. This is one thing that I do. I give props to artists. She went forward with her concert in Paris. It was her biggest venue on that tour. She was honest with her fans and let them know that she was stranded outside until 6 that morning. And her fans cheered for her and gave her that little boost of energy she needed to rock that concert as best as she could.
She also did cry. And then I do remember seeing videos on Twitter of her crying at that concert.
And the fans just, her fans completely accepting it too. It was just kind of like, it's okay. Like, I think if she would have postponed that concert and, kept it real with her fans like she did, I think it would have been fine. It just sucked, obviously, that she didn't have the backup that she needed. Granted, she wasn't under a label. She was trying to make it on her own. And she does come to realize that without a label, it really isn't that easy.
Yeah, it's one of those double-edged swords for me because it's like you said, she is a beast for doing that, pushing forward and performing. But there's another side of me that it's like, yeah, but you're also human and you shouldn't have had to do that. And I know this is like your job still, but like what you had to go through that whole time, I don't know. That's why I just say it's a double-edged sword, especially when it comes to like these type of jobs and being an artist. So, because again, like you don't want to disappoint the fans, like she kept saying. But at the same time, it's like how long can you keep doing this and pushing your energy until you literally like crash out?
And that's also the other thing too, where it kind of shines a light to the fact of how much a label company actually does, which that was literally her wake up call, because she had to do everything. So you're putting more energy than what you're used to putting when it's just all you have to do is focus on practicing vocals and being your best you can on stage. And other than, producing and making music, now you're having to worry about if you have to cancel and postpone a concert, of who's handling that, who's handling doing the reservations for the hotel, for the food, for this and that. And she got that wake up call. So like it also puts in perspective of like, not necessarily how much you need a label. You do need a label, but how much more work it takes in the background for an artist to be an artist.
I mean, I don't even know if it's like you need a label, because I think there are, and I'm mostly thinking about like Western artists that don't have labels and are independent, but they have a good team. So it's like, is it you need a good label or you just need a good team and a big team? And it depends if she would be able to afford a big team like that.
That's the other thing too. But even with the Western artists, like there are Western artists that will say like their stuff doesn't get pushed out. Now, I'm not even going to touch on the base of how certain labels pay for certain airtime.
I mean, yeah.
For their artists. Obviously, there's that aspect too, right? So you're going up against other companies, billions of dollars that they have that are getting thrown into artists compared to our indie artists who have no label. And yes, they can have a great team, but the fights are in balance. I don't know. Is it easier to be under a label? Most likely for that aspect. Now, is it more freeing to be without a label because you have the freedom of creativity of how you want, the next drop to be and all that stuff? Absolutely. So it's kind of like, okay, which of two evils?
You also get the situation of sometimes if labels don't have confidence in you, they won't promote you. I know there's a lot of Western artists who even are under labels, and it's like, we're always like, where's the music? Why aren't they putting out music? And then sometimes like we have to remember it is because of their labels that like they're not putting out anything. That's the same with like K-pop. Like you see certain K-pop companies and they have all these groups and you can tell which groups are the favored. And I'll even say for like Hybe, like that's why From Is 9 disbanded, like Source kind of gave up on them. So I think they're coming back as like a different group, but only some of them, not all of them, but still.
That's so interesting to me, seeing how that stuff gets moved and handled. But
yeah.
All right. So back with Cravity. Cravity went on to put on a great show for their fans. They were surprised by how many people went to see them, and they all got emotional at one point or another because of their fans. We finally get to meet the managers of Cravity, Hyokjun and Jinwoo. They tell us their thoughts about Cravity. The interviewer asked them, what do you think makes Cravity extra special? Manager Hyokjun's response, For me, everything they've been working on so far needs to be better. And they need to perfect their basic skills and practice. I think that's what they need to do. I don't think they're extra special yet. That's how I feel. Starship staff interjects and tries to ask Deokjun if he can try to answer the question differently. The staff even tries to change the question by asking, explain why Cravity has the potential to be successful. But the manager keeps insisting that he doesn't believe they are that special yet. He doesn't want to answer any of these questions if he has to lie about how he actually feels and views them.
I agree with your side note. You haven't said it yet, but that part pissed you off. You had to pause to calm yourself down because I had to do the exact same thing. I was like, what do you mean you can't even say one nice word to a group that you manage? The reason for their success actually depends on you. So if they're not being successful, that is your damn fault. Look at a mirror. Okay. Gee, I wonder why.
When I tell you, I had to, for this part, I saw it twice. It pissed me off to no end.
I've never seen anything like that before. I was like, that's why earlier when I was like, y'all can't catch a break. You can't.
You started out during the pandemic.
Be your own managers, be your own ops.
Mm-hmm. Like, I understand, right? I understand to a certain extent as a company, you need to give criticism because you're wanting your group to grow and be better. But also at the same time, you need to give confidence. You need to give some type of confidence. And on top of that, you are a manager. Your label company sees something in this group. If not, they wouldn't have debuted. So what is it? Is it because you didn't want to be a part of it?
I don't know. It's like, damn, y'all really think they're just going to stop working if y'all just say nice job? Just say you did good. Oh, we don't have to work anymore. What? That's the mindset I get. I'm like, I don't understand.
The stress that these kids, because at the end of the day, majority of them start as kids. Like, the stress they already have to go through to practice, to do better, to lose weight. Like,
oh God, when we get into,
yeah, I know.
think that's in your episode.
It is. And I end up saying too, it's one thing when you're giving criticism to help grow an artist. It's another when you're pulling them down. They already have to go
at that point to switch departments. Yeah, maybe being a manager is not for you. Go to a different department, sir, because.
And that's like what I'm wondering. Like, did you just get stuck with this group that you didn't want to be stuck in? Are you stuck? Like, what is your deal, dude? Like, you are literally pushing off and the staff literally tries to like change the question, to word it differently, to at least say something nice.
The fact that even the lady in the back, and I think they said she was an employee of Starship, was like, can you just say anything nice?
Yes.
About them? The fact that she had to say that. Like, and he's like, well, I don't want to lie. I wanted to jump through that screen so badly and just slap this man.
I did too.
You're like, go quit this job and go do something else.
Like, what are you doing? Why are you here?
Exactly. Why are you here?
Like, oh my God, the anger that I had. And I'm like you, I wanted to jump through the screen and be like, what are you doing? I'm hoping that they have different managers because
no.
Also, at the same time, why are you dissing your own group that you're managing? Like, you do realize this is going to be aired, right? Like, you have the staff members from the company, from the label you work for, mind you, that is signing your paychecks, letting you know, yo, you need to change that wording. You need something here.
I mean, if they put it in the doc, I guess they didn't see anything wrong with it.
I don't even think we have access to know who's managing a group, do we?
I have no idea. I've never cared enough to look. Because it's like, I don't even know who BTS managers are. Because, they have managers. I don't know who they are.
That's true.
I know fans used to, but I don't think they're the same. It's like when they be knowing the bodyguards and Mr. Lee and all that. I'm just sitting here like, okay, like I'm just like, who? Because that's not my priority in knowledge to know. But that's just me. Like, I don't care in that sense. But when it comes to stuff like this, maybe I should start caring more. I don't know. Because this was ridiculous. Like, I just didn't realize, I guess the haters are everywhere, even in your own company. Like,
it is. Your biggest haters.
This must be a culture thing that I will never understand.
Again, I understand criticism. I get that. But like, if you're doing an interview for a group that you're pushing to try to be successful, why wouldn't you try to shine light on the things that they are good?
And it's like, it's not they already feel bad enough because they debuted during the pandemic, which was already hard for them. And yes, Starship is a sort of big company, but it's not like an SM. Like Aspa was debuted during the pandemic, but because they're under SM, they're able to push back on that and like become successful. And I know there's other groups that did too, but it's just like, I don't know. Plus two does, you know what? I'm not going to say that. Never mind. Anyway, I'm not going to say that because that, yeah.
Okay. Are we good?
Yeah, let's move on.
Get everything off your chest.
I've watched this twice and both times it still just pissed me off. Like I just, not even if, and he's like, I don't want to lie. We're just like, okay, thank you for your honesty, but you're just coming off as rude. Like, again, you can't even just say, I will be hopeful in the future. That's another problem too. I don't know if we mentioned this earlier, how like, and we're seeing it more in K-pop. It's like, if you don't have it hit when you first debut, they already consider you a failure. So because they didn't come out the gate, like, I'm not sure how it was for Monsta X back then. I wasn't into K-pop. I got into it like 3 years later, or like these other groups that debut. I mean, like BTS didn't have the most successful debut, and look with them. But now that they see these groups that come out and like, because we will blame the inflation of streaming and how fans have manipulated streaming. If your numbers are not like that, they're just like, oh, you must have failed then. And that's not right. Again, it's part of not letting them grow.
And you can go the opposite direction. You can have a group that right off the bat, you know, makes a big hit, does this, hits all the numbers on the charts and everything like that. And then they flop.
Because there's a couple groups I'm thinking of right now. Okay. I won't say the names to not start drama, but especially a boy group. There's actually a boy group I'm thinking of, and they also lost a member. So it's just like.
So it could go either way. But at the end of the day, you gotta push that hope. Because at the end of that's what you're hoping for. You're hoping for your group to make it out there. So I understand the criticism. I understand trying to help them to get better, to do better, but you also need to grow their confidence. You can't just be bashing on them. And then I feel so bad. Like, I hope that if the guys, and I'm pretty sure they did, see this documentary, like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that you got stuck with like asshole managers.
I'm going to be so honest. They're probably so used to it. They don't even blink. That's another sad thing too. They probably don't even think about it, or they probably didn't even take it like we're taking it because they're so used to it.
Shout out to them. And take a listen to their music. Their music is actually pretty good. Like, it's good. It is. So I'm rooting for them because clearly your managers don't.
Clearly y'all need some type of encouragement. And this is probably why, honestly, a lot of idols, now that I think about it, be depending on the fans so much. Now that I'm seeing this, like, I understand the social pair between fans and idols and fans even more now. Okay? It's clicking.
But here's the thing, and here, ridiculous. And I need the fans to hear this out, because maybe, just maybe, this is what can help make the change, is that sometimes we need to step in and help and give the confidence to our idols, because their own managers are trying to drag them down. Sometimes it's not even an outside company hater. It could be just the company itself.
Then you got some fans doing it too. It's never ending. Let's move on. We got to move on.
All right.
God.
Back to Fatu and Blackswan. Fatu admits that after the live streams, things didn't get better. Leah started to not show up to practice, or if she did, she would just go and sit and be on her phone. In order for a group to continue to grow, more music needs to be put out. But when you have one member who isn't putting the effort or passion into things, it can really start to fall apart. We start to get to Leah's perspective, and she even says it. She doesn't care if her members hate her. She just wants out of the group. But like every group before her and after, there is a contract that these idols must sign to be a part of any group under any label. In this part of the episode, we get introduced to 2 more girls.
I believe it's Sharia. I apologize.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Gabriella.
I should know this because I actually love her down. So I'm just so bad with names. It takes me a while
to get used to them. Oh no, I'm the same way. Yeah, don't worry.
I can't tell you how long it took me to properly pronounce the BTS member's name. So trust me, just give me a minute, girl.
Mm-hmm. It is then mentioned that the prior year, Blackswan had announced that they were holding a global audition. Mr. Yoon always wanted Blackswan to have members from 5 different countries. He also told the original girls that this is going to be a very fierce competition, because to me, it doesn't matter if you're the original member or not. They shouldn't be comfortable in their positions, because if they can't even survive competition within the team, there is no way they can be a number 1 global team. And that's how the episode ends.
And that's not healthy in any way, shape, or form. Oh! Like, what?
It's crazy. It's wild to me how you put these trainees, right? You get this group of trainees, they become friends, they get to know each other. You want to see how trainees co-work with each other, just to see in like, okay, maybe this can be a group in itself, right? But then within that same training, you're having them compete with each other, because not every single one of them is going to make it onto the group.
Which, understandable in a way, but once they're in a group and established and you debut them, that's when it should end.
Mm-hmm. And my thing too, it's like, okay, your thought process, all right, was 5 different, you wanted to have members from 5 different countries. That's 5 members right there alone that you wanted from different countries. Why would you debut a group if you don't have that already?
Because at the beginning they did have 5 members, but guess what 3 of them were? Korean.
That's what I mean. You didn't have the numbers. You didn't have the numbers at all. You didn't have what you wanted.
So like, what are we talking about? That's probably why he has the stupid graduation system that he calls, when I think it's just undercover for how many times the member just left and they just say, oh, they're graduating on. No, it's because whatever is happening, they get upset and they leave. Something had to happen for all those girls to leave. I'm just saying, okay?
The way that we get to see the way he treats Blackswan and how he easily was ready to bring someone else in if there was an issue. Oh, we'll just get rid of that person and we'll bring another person in. That would be the fix all, be all. And like in the next episode, for episode 3, I will get more into it. But even Fatu ends up saying, like, whenever a new member comes in, we're starting from square one again, which is true, because you're bringing in a whole nother person, a whole nother personality, a whole nother energy. You need to find out if that dynamic is going to work well with the dynamic that has already been built.
And the 5 country thing also doesn't make sense to me, because Gabby's also Brazilian. She's not mixed, but you have Gabby, who's Brazilian, and Leah from Brazil. And from the way y'all were acting, you seemed like you wanted to hold on to Leah as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So if she had ended up staying, you still have 2 girls from the same country.
And it was, again, for that, because Leah already had a fan base. That's why they wanted to keep her. And obviously we said before, or at least from what they said, I think Brazil is like the biggest consumer for K-pop, which is the reason why they wanted someone from Brazil. But it's, again, you're not taking the time, and you're also not training these girls properly. So again, to a certain extent, some of the stuff can be blamed on Leah, but majority of it falls on the label company.
And I'll just let you know now, to this day, Leah fans still attack Gabby for no reason. Leah's not even in the group anymore. And they be getting her in her comments. There was the time she had to turn off her comments on her TikTok because it was getting that bad. And I think she, obviously, Twitter is a cesspool. Let's be honest, okay? I'm still on there, yes. Like, I'm going down with the ship. I don't care, but there's even Fatu left for a minute, but she's actually back on Twitter, but still. I think it's easier for her because she's not like verified or anything, so she gets to stay small. But like, yeah, to this day, you got Leah fans, and I think they are mostly Brazilian, who's attacking Gabby, who's also another Brazilian. You would think. I don't know. I also think they, for some odd reason, blame her for Leah leaving, which even after seeing this whole ass documentary, okay.
That wasn't even the case. You just had another girl whose dream was to become an idol and who worked towards it. That's it. That was her only fault.
She's so freaking sweet. Like,
she is very sweet. Gabby. But I'm also wondering, again, the colorism, because Gabby doesn't necessarily fall under and I put this in quotation, like air quoting this, under the beauty standard for Brazil compared to Leah. I don't
know the beauty standard for Brazil, so I can't even comment on that. I don't know what they are, because I've fallen down the rabbit hole of 90 Day Fiance, and the seasons I have seen, when the American gets with a Brazilian, a lot of them do look like Gabby. So I'm just saying, I don't know the beauty standards. And obviously they're a little bit more like thicker than Gabby. I don't know if surgery comes into that or not. I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm just pointing that out. But
I don't know.
I don't know either. So that I'm going to leave alone.
Okay. Any more thoughts on our lovely episode 2?
Not from me. So we can go on to 3. Oh, yeah, that kind of rhymed. Dr. Seuss up in this bitch. Okay, just keep going.
All right, episode 3, titled Trainees, opens with fans giving their thoughts on K-pop trainees. I think the K-pop training process is what makes K-pop so unique, because it is as if an Olympian is training for their competition. What is mentioned is that, yes, you have the trainees training, taking classes for vocal, raps, dance, and even language. But all of this is done with the hopes that they will make it in a group and possibly debut. So under so much scrutiny, and you don't even know if you're going to make it. We start off at Mr. Yoon's house with, I'm always going to butcher her name. I apologize right now. See, because I want to read it the way it's spelled. Which to me, it's Sharia.
It is Sharia.
Is it Sharia? Okay, yeah, but you're pronouncing it with an H.
For some reason, I want to say Syria for some reason, and that's not right.
No, so Sharia. Okay, so yeah, I am. I'm just not seeing the H. That's what's not clicking for me. Sharia and Gabby are currently staying at while they are trainees.
Which, can I point out early on right now, which I thought was weird? Why? I know y'all don't have, should he not be at least putting y'all in a hotel? Why is he why are these 2 young girls staying at your house?
The only thing I
thought that was so weird.
No, it is weird, because I thought it too. Like, as soon as I saw that, I literally paused it, and I'm just like,
or like, I don't know where like Fatu and the other girls are staying. Are they not in dorms? Do they have their own apartments? Like, what? Because now I think they were in dorms. If I remember correctly from when I used to watch their TikTok lives, I think they live in the same building, but Fatu has her own apartment and the other 3 girls have an apartment together now of the current lineup. But I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. Like, why didn't you just put them with the other girls? Were they living by themselves? I'm so confused on the living
The only
situation.
thing I can think of is because they fall under trainees, and I can guarantee you that with these two girls, it was the plan to bring them into Blackpink. So it's like one of those situations Black Swan. My apologies. First off, I don't think they wanted to have that extra expense of getting another dorm to have them separate, or the hotel or anything like that. So like the next best thing, because at the end of the day, they wanted both of them to be together. And it is mentioned later on how, and we've talked about this, we've touched on this already, on how they compare them. But also I feel like he wanted to see how they'd handle all the stress.
And I think they were mostly doing it to Gabby. It seemed like because the way she is very timid, they were mostly testing Gabby to see if she could handle this. I guarantee that's why they were comparing him a lot. Because at the time we can't. Because I think Sharia used to post a lot of like K-pop dance covers online. I believe that's how she kind of got like discovered. So
yeah. Normally, trainees train for at least a year before their evaluation to see if they made the cut. But the girls only got 6 months. And in 2 weeks' time, they will be having their final evaluation done. One of them can make it, both can make it, or possibly neither will make it. We get to see some of the pressure the girls have to go through. Sharia needs to gain weight while Gabby has to lose weight. And that's a whole nother aspect. Like for me, it's like a whole nother topic on like their weight, especially being so young. Because I believe they were both like 18, 19 at that time.
So they were on the same age as Leah is. I think they're all born in 2001. Actually, are they younger? I don't think so.
At that time, actually, I think they were.
Yeah, Sharia's only 21. She was born in 2003. I think she's the youngest in the group. And yeah, Gabby, 2002. So.
Yeah, so I believe Gabby was 19 at the time and Sharia was 18 and already had to worry about. Well, Sharia, I can understand like gaining weight and stuff, but Gabby having to lose weight.
But she's already so small.
She is.
I was like, where?
I understand changing a little bit of your diet, of like your consumption of sodium. So that way, because obviously our faces tend to blow up a little bit more depending on how much sodium you take. So I understand cutting back on sodium to look a little bit more thinner, but not the way that she was going about it.
And I don't know how much sodium is in like Korean food. Obviously, nothing outside of any of these countries is anything like American food.
Of course.
But I don't know when it comes to stuff like that, especially since they're in Korea eating Korean food now. So
that's always been my question. Every time this conversation ever comes up or I think about it, I always wonder like how much sodium is in their food.
Because I know like I see idols talk about it all the time when they mention like eating ramen and stuff. But even that, I don't feel like it's compared to the US. So
yeah. Oh, absolutely. So we jump back to New Jersey to Jessi's parents' home. After her Europe tour, Jessi needed a break. So she went home to her family. She mentions that if she's lucky, she will be able to see her family at least once a year. We get to learn a little more about her family and how she continued to pursue singing. We learn that she gave up twice in South Korea. And before she got on Pretty Rap Star, she actually went home. Eric, her oldest brother, started learning engineering to help Jessi get back into singing. He didn't want her to give up on her dreams. So in 2012, they started Studio 221. I don't know if that's how
I don't know.
Yeah. In their parents' basement. They wanted Jessi to gain her confidence back every week they had her record a cover song. Also having her figure out what her style was and putting a little bit of like her Jessi sauce, as her brother said, onto the covers. I think to me that's crazy though. Like after you've already made it and you debuted and kind of make it and you're still possibly only seeing your family once a year, that's a lot, especially for solo artists. At least like when it comes to groups, I'm not saying it's easier, but it is a little easier because you have your other fellow like members that are also on the same boat and you could at least lean on each other, compared to a solo artist. Back in Seoul at Gravity's dorm, you see some of the guys looking at footage from one of their dance practices. Here we learn that Alan was a trainee for 4 years before being a part of Cravity. He goes into detail of what that schedule was back then for all of them. They would train Monday to Saturday and start from 1 to 10 p.m. They would also have dance class twice a week, vocal lessons once a week, and anytime they didn't have anything at all, they would go to the studio and practice. Wonjin let us know that back then he had a hard time. For the audition, the man in charge told him he had 2 weeks to lose weight. So Wonjin would only eat 1 egg a day, determined to get a place as a trainee for Starship. And, just a side note to our listeners, please don't diet like that. It isn't something healthy. It isn't ideal. It isn't at all anything anyone really should be putting themselves under, especially when you're so young.
No. That even can't be healthy for your body, because if you're doing all this, like even athletes have at least some type of meal plan.
Mm-hmm.
And they're literally training, if not almost more than athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Because at least athletes get like off seasons.
And even then, they're still somewhat training and stuff, but it's like at their own pace compared to like idols.
Yeah. Like obviously it increases more when it's like say football season, like obviously when the season's happening, it's a lot more, but like when they're off season, they still train, but not to what the extent would be if football season was happening.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas idols, it's year round.
Mm-hmm.
Nearly 365.
And again, that's not healthy. And I know like, I can't remember where there was a like YouTube channel that had one of a K-pop group, and one of the girls like mentioned how like when they would be in training or getting ready for another debut, another comeback, she wouldn't have her period. And like I think she ended up saying that.
Are you talking about Ashley from Ladies Code? Because she's talked about that on from Dive Studios.
Dive, yes.
With her, Peniel, and BM at the time. It's one of the really earlier episodes. When she used to be in her group. Yeah, because like I think she even said there was a period they were only eating like apples like once a day,
which is
like they just didn't get their period for like a year or two. So obviously when she stopped getting being an idol, she got it back, and it's like if it's that serious to where naturally your body just stops having your cycle, that there's for a woman, that's not good.
Yep, exactly. So I can't even imagine.
Like, imagine all these idols now.
Yes,
these female idols. Because I always wondered that too, like when they be wearing white and stuff. And after like watching that episode, because like I said, it's old. I'm like, well, damn, most of these girls probably aren't getting their periods.
No, not at all. And it makes perfect sense because they're not getting the nutrition that they need. So their body isn't doing what it needs to. On the contrary, it's basically going on survival mode. What is there to lose when they hardly are hardly getting anything? Crazy. It's just crazy. We see how much the members having each other helps them push through and be able to lean on each other.
Yeah.
Like why? That to me. Mm-hmm. And it does help. But at the same time, it's just some of these crazy instances of what they have to go through. It's wild to me. Back at headquarters at Starship, we meet Joyeon.
Ji-young.
Ji-young?
Yeah.
I feel like I misspelled his name.
I don't think he did.
Okay. A 19-year-old current trainee who is at a dance practice. Now we get to see the life of trainees who get the news that didn't make it in a group. He started back in March of 2019. He has been a trainee for 3 years and 4 months at the time of recording. The schedule he is on is a wild one. He wakes up in the morning and takes his bike to get to school. After school, he gets on a train for an hour ride to make it to the label company, practices and catches the last train at night to go back home, usually getting home around 2 or 3 in the morning, hardly having any time for sleep, let alone to hang out with friends. Ji-young gets monthly evaluations done, which is the reason for the many hours of practice. There'd be no way.
He's not paying attention in school.
I'm going to tell you right now, there'd be no way in hell that I would go through that schedule. And now it wasn't until this part came that I realized why so many idols had dropped out of high school. Because there's no way. How are you going to school for 8+ hours, trying to stay awake? And he even admits too that there'd be times because of the lack of sleep that he'll be sleeping in school, in class.
Yep.
Back with Blackswan, 1 week is left until Shuri and Gabby's final evaluation. Fatu gives us her opinion on new members being added to the group, how she's not a fan of them only because it means the group has to start from square one again, having to learn a new person's dynamic and seeing how well that dynamic will be with the rest of the group. At times it can take anywhere from 6 months to a year for a group to have created a solid dynamic. Most of the girls from Blackswan are on the same wavelength and believe that Shuri and Gabby should continue to be trainees for at least a year or more before debuting.
And I don't blame her for that opinion because I see where she's coming from, especially, again, forming a group bond to learn how to work with each other. Obviously, in Blackswan's case, it's a little different with the drama going on right now, but still, in a normal sense, that makes sense.
It does. It really, really does. And like, the group already in itself already put so much time and effort. And now all of a sudden you're going to bring someone else in and they have to start all over again after already debuting already.
Person,
yep.
Your work ethics, like how you fit in with the group outside of the work to see if y'all can get along.
We next get to visit Mr. Yoon's house, where he shows us around and we get to see the many pets he has, plus a car that was used by Baby Vox that was utilized until 2005 that just now sits at his house. I'm assuming in his backyard. I don't know.
It's somewhere on his property.
Somewhere. He takes us inside and shows us his collection of documentations of articles and overseas promotions, references that will be passed down to his successor. He pulls out a binder that has the name Tupac on it. Simone will be going over that tidbit in a moment. As he continues the tour, we see family photos. He shows us his daughter and granddaughter. The interview asks if he has any pictures of Philip, in which he does not. We learn from Philip that because of his dad's success, he didn't have much time to be at home with him or his sister. Something that you can see still hurts not only Philip, but his older sister, Youngshin, as well. Youngshin.
I think Youngshin, yeah.
Youngshin.
Now, I did forget to mention earlier, because I didn't write it down when I was talking about Rania. I mean, that's why I was like, I'm confused on the global success, because there was a part where they were trying to debut them in the US and somehow it fell through. because they did get like a bunch of producers that worked with people like Britney Spears. Now, there was supposed to be apparently a song with Snoop Dogg as well for digital release, but I didn't see it. So that's why I'm like, I can't tell if it actually came out or not with Rania. So that's why it's like he's saying they were the first, but I'm like, but you're not really, because your US debut ended up falling through. I mean, I guess he's talking about in a way how like he was taking the group outside of Korea,
the domestic
like Asian
marketing
countries. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, K-pop groups were still like going to other countries. They were just mostly Asian countries.
Mm-hmm. And he was trying to get out of that.
Present in like Southeast Asian countries. Yeah. So then they stopped. I have no idea why, but I don't know. But yeah, so it's interesting the way he brags about Baby Vox and Tupac, because there's some information, of course, that he is leaving out. So Baby Vox versus Tupac. So in the documentary, I took direct quotes from Mr. Yoon, obviously translated from Korean in the captions. Hopefully they're correct, because my whole rant earlier about how the captions apparently are not always correct. But before Tupac passed away, I got permission to use the new track that he recorded in jail. And so if you look at Baby Vox's last album and the track Ecstasy, for 30 seconds, you can see Tupac's face and hear him rapping. He's talking about the music video, obviously. And I've seen clips. I don't remember if they show clips of it in the doc. I don't think, but I've seen. They do? Okay, I thought so. Then he said to a certain extent, he likes to think that he released Tupac's last album, which, sir, those are fighting words for a lot of people, especially huge Tupac fans. So just be lucky a lot of them are not into K-pop, okay? I am just saying. He would have a lot of people, especially in the Black community. He's lucky.
Listen,
he's lucky a lot of them don't listen to K-pop.
As someone who is a fan of Tupac, I'm gonna tell you right now, the moment this came up on this documentary, I was so close to letting you know, I don't think we can do this doc.
Oh my God.
I don't think I could do, because the way I want to rip him a new one, but you know what? He's doing his own dirty work. Really, he's bringing his own downfall. I don't know.
I mean, I need him to not have too much of a downfall, because I still need Blackswan to succeed.
No. I'm talking about like him as himself. Like he can go away. His son Philip can go ahead and take over. For me,
it seems like he's kind of been the downfall. For a lot of things. But anyway, pretty sure all these are lies. It's also wild to me when his son was talking and they were showing like all the groups and famous people Mr. Yoon had either worked with or met. They showed a picture of him with Rania and Teddy Riley, which again was the group no one bothered to mention in this documentary, but we still gonna show pictures of them. Okay, whatever. I just don't get it. So on April 8th of 2004, I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce this correctly. Amaru Entertainment, a company partially in charge of the rights to Tupac's work and owned by his mother at the time, actually released a notice saying they would pursue legal actions against Baby Vox, even though DR Music kept claiming they had permission. Now, personally, while trying to do my research, it doesn't look like they actually ever sued them. I couldn't find anything where it said they actually sued them. I just kept finding things that the estate kept threatening legal actions. That's where all I can find. And I don't believe Mr. Yoon would still be claiming he had permission if he actually was sued by them. I feel like that would have been in the lawsuit of like, stop talking about this personally. I don't usually use Reddit, but I did go on Reddit about this, and I did see under a thread, there was a comment that said DR Music was actually sued, but then there was another one that may seem more reliable that mentioned he may have bought the rights to distribute. I said the documentary, but not the musical rights to take the song and sample it and make it into a new one. So maybe it was a confusion of like licensing, and it may have been two different licensing deals of like him buying the song but not being able to either use it or like again sample it and make it a whole new thing. So I mean, I linked it at the bottom, and I think they also said like if you're really into all that, you can look up like claims that were filed in California of like lawsuits if you know how to read lawsuits. So I'm not actually sure if they actually sued them or not, but either way, the controversy just got so bad in Korea too for Baby Fox. That was actually the downfall of their career because they had to halt promotions in June of 2004 due to the controversy. I mean, it got so bad. There was some dude in like a Korean rap group house saying how they were disrespecting Tupac, basically calling them sluts too, and a bunch of other things. It got really wild. And then their comeback Ride West was labeled a commercial failure in Korea. And I guess they also had planned to debut in America, and that also never happened.
I mean,
whether they were actually sued or not, it still ended up being the downfall of Baby Vox's career.
I mean, when you are going up against a well-known and loved rapper and proclaim that you produced his last album, I am pretty sure that group will not be welcomed here in the West.
No, but the backlash was Korea. That's what I'm surprised about. Like, because, you know, K-pop wasn't, especially in 2004.
But that's the thing, too. That's the thing, too, is that K-pop wasn't that big in, like, that type of rap.
That's what I mean. So, like, all this backlash they were getting from not only Tupac's estate and, like, sampling Tupac's, and it may have not been an actual sample, was coming from Korea itself. That's what shocks me the most.
Crazy.
Yes. Like I said, there was a Korean rapper who was basically calling them all these type of names and saying they were disrespecting the legend of Tupac and all that. This is coming from the Koreans themselves. Okay?
Gotta give them props for that then.
I do.
Standing on business.
10 tones down. I mean, the girls themselves didn't deserve all that. It should have went more to you, but of course, since they're the face and it's their name and all that, they're going to take the downfall, unfortunately, when they got nothing to do with that. They're just told, here's this song, perform it and all that. So,
see, and I feel like if he wouldn't have done that, Baby Vox would probably still be around-ish, maybe.
Well, I mean, I think they actually did do like a small comeback at one of the award shows. That's what I mean. Like a lot of second gen groups are coming back. I don't know how they were able to perform, but I think they did do a performance last year at one of the award shows, like as a special guest or something. Not all of them, but some of the members.
I mean, unless they did something new. Like they did like a new song or whatever.
No, I'm pretty sure it's just performing the old hits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah. The whole Tupac thing he brought up was very interesting. So,
oh my God.
For me, I don't personally know if they actually really did get sued. Some say yes, some say no, it was just threats. If you know how to look up legal documents of lawsuits, feel free and let me know.
The voice memo that I got from you the moment I told you I got through this. I got through this episode and you just went on a tangent. I was like, yeah. Anyways,
he isn't back. He's just a very interesting man, that Mr. Yoon. Need to sit his old ass down.
He has an interesting work ethic. Like he has a very interesting take on like what success looks like or should look like. And again, his words, but his actions don't line up. Because how is it that you're trying to make a global group, but then you do shit like this? Not thinking of the consequences. The amount of changes of the girls, too. Like, you're not making something
if you got the
solid.
right licensing for Baby Vox, all this could have been avoided, but hey.
Mm-hmm. And again, they could have still been thriving. He probably could have gotten, a first group to come into the Western. But anyways, back with Shariah and Gabby, 3 days before their evaluation, they're having a girls' day by going and getting their nails done. We find out how they did on their Korean exam. And Sharia did better than she expected. Gabby was just happy she passed. Gabby does make a comment. They compare us. So since her test is really higher than mine, I was like, oh my God, I did badly. She admits that Soraya learns faster and faster than her, and she admires her. But the problem is how they are always compared. She feels that she is doing her best, but that it's not enough. And once again, it's just going back to the comparison. And I feel like it's so much stronger too because they have them secluded from any of the other trainees. Because there's no way that they did not have any other trainees.
I mean, that's what I was just about to ask. Did they even have any other trainees? It doesn't seem like they did. I don't think they did. I think it was just those two. I think Blackswan is literally the only group they have in that company.
Which is crazy because how is that company still going then?
Girl, the complaint I'm going to make in my part about how they barely even already promote Blackswan is wild.
So going on, in New Jersey with Jessi, we learn a different type of sacrifice these idols go through. The chance of finding actual love and starting a family. Jessi's 2 older brothers are already married and have families. Jessi, on the other hand, is single. Both her parents come on how they see how badly she wants to get married and have children. But when you talk to Jessi, yes, she wants to find actual love. But right now, or at least at that time of recording, she's focused on her career. While, yes, when she goes back to South Korea, she goes back to an empty house. She feels that if she were to find love now, she would have to give up her career to a certain extent.
I also think that's just a disparity between men and women in this general, how women are expected to give up their careers when they find love and want to start families, but men can still thrive with families, even if they have kids. I'm just saying.
No, I agree. I agree with that. Which is probably why she feels that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's even harder for her and also Korea too, because of the standards. So, and I also do wonder if she struggles finding love in Korea, just the way they view dating and they view their women. Because she mentions her past boyfriends and how she's wanted to like stay in long-term relationships. But from my understanding, none of them seem like Korean. It seemed like if they were Korean, maybe they were like Korean American or like other nationalities. So I don't even know if she's ever dated like a Korean man from Korea before.
I feel like when it comes to that aspect, I think the women tend to go outside of the nationality versus at least like idols, right? Compared to like the men, because the men do tend to be more fantasized and accepted.
Well, in her case, she's not. And she talks about this too later in the doc, how she's not even really the typical Korean girl as far as like, being polite, docile in a way, things like that. And it is part of the American in her of like being the outspoken woman that she is, tough, bad bitch. We believe in equality and stuff. So, I mean, I know that plays in a part. I don't know how it is for other women who are Korean as idols, though. They also usually tend to go for Korean men. Well, that's my understanding.
That's true. That'll be interesting to see. But I do hope. At the end of the day, that's always my hope for any of the idols, that they find happiness and love in whichever form, right?
Yeah.
Because again, How do you not want to have them? How do you not want to see them happy?
I mean, because we also haven't touched on, and that can be a whole different conversation of, unfortunately, the underlying of also like, well, what if our idols are not straight?
Again, who fucking cares? Again, as long as they're happy. Well, yeah.
But they care. And also, again, in a homophobic society, which I'm not saying we're definitely, in America, we're definitely taking like 10 steps back when it comes to progression. And that's one of them. The way they're treating trans people right now. However, it's way different in Korea. Okay.
That is
so I'm
true.
Gonna say it's really rare that you see an out person, and the ones that I do know of that did come out in the entertainment industry, at least back then, their careers became non-existent.
That was over.
They got blacklisted. And I feel like, which is really interesting, because I look at Chungha and she does use a lot of like LGBT backup dancers. So I guess for them, because they're backup dancers, it's easier. I'm not really sure. But maybe, like, I guess if you're a dancer, because you're not truly like an idol, no one really keeps up with you like that, it's more acceptable. It's just interesting. But the idols themselves, at least.
Don't we have, well, no, because I think those are actors. Because I'm
not really into the acting as far as like fandom sign like that. So I don't, that's a whole different ballgame. Even though I watch K-dramas, that's a whole different thing I don't even know about.
Yeah. I mean, me neither. So it's fine. Either way, I just hope that she's able to find love for all of them. Actually, not just Jessi, but for all of them.
Yeah, no, but since Jessi, and I've seen her talk about it, things I've watched of her too, of how like she wants family. I know she wants kids too. So I mean, and she's how old? How old is Jessi? I don't remember.
I don't know. I don't remember.
I know she's obviously, is she 35?
Let's find out. She's 36.
She's 36. Okay.
Yes.
I mean, women have children late all the time, but still, I know the risk if you want biological children gets higher.
Yeah.
The older you get. So, but she's expressed for a very long time, for a couple years, how she wants kids. So,
I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And again, I just hope that she does.
Yeah.
She deserves that, especially with everything that she's gone through.
Dear Lord.
Now, in Seoul, it's the day of evaluation for, oh my God, Soraya and Gabby. Both girls are nervous and sad about what this could mean for them. Philip was the one doing the evaluation. And just like the girls, we have to wait and see what the results will be. I think they did great. Gabby did look wiped out, though. She did look tired. Yeah, she looked tired.
She tried her best, okay?
She did. And we'll just have to wait and see. Not that people probably already know.
I mean, by this time.
Right? Yeah, by now you already know. But hey, at Starship, it's Ji Young's training evaluation day, which, let me say, has to be nerve-wracking when you have to perform by yourself in a single room with like 10 executives. I tried counting how many people were in there just watching him. He started out by singing. Once done, he went to change to get ready to dance for them. Or his dance before, he would do something a little more mellow. But this time he decided to do something a little more intense and powerful. Fortunately, the executives didn't think he was ready to move up or be considered for a group at that moment. They can tell he was nervous and his body was tense throughout his dance, as well as he was missing emotion when he was singing. This might be the last evaluation for him. And I do have to agree that when it came to his singing, like, you can tell he was nervous. And there were certain times where I feel like he wasn't hitting the notes he wanted to hit.
So I've watched this twice, and did I black out twice and not see him sing and only see him dance? Because I understood what they meant by him dancing. I'm like, where was I during the singing part? I don't remember. both times watching this. So him singing.
It was a really short clip because I don't even know what song he sang, but it was a very short clip of them showing him singing. And it was a part where he was holding his note, but then he had to hit like higher notes. And then his voice kind of like shook, like it wasn't going to hit.
Okay.
But it's very short, so don't feel bad.
Okay.
Don't feel bad for that. At DR Music, Soraya and Gabby are getting the results from their evaluation. It's a 1-on-2 with one of the girls and Mr. Young and Philip. As Mr. Young gives each girl feedback from their coaches and his own feedback of what he's seen from them in the last 6 months. We learned that Soraya has received great feedback from all her coaches, and even Mr. Young praises her, all for the good news that she will be joining Blackswan. When it's Gabby's turn, Mr. Young lets her know that all her coaches believe she still needs more work, not only on her dance and vocals, but also on her Korean. The episode ends with us not knowing if Gabby makes it or gets sent home.
I'm sorry, that was funny.
I know.
It's okay. Oh, you've been talking a lot. I'm proud of you.
I am. You can never say that. Oh my God, you don't talk much. Yes, I do.
That was only in the beginning because you were new to this, okay?
Exactly.
You've opened up more.
I am. Yes. And I will.
I know. I believe in you. I promise. I was awkward at first too. That's why I don't go back and listen to any of those old episodes. Anyway,
I don't know if I'll go back and listen to some of these.
We'll see. But that ends episode 3. Left on a cliffhanger like always. And we're actually going to end it there. Make this into 2 parts. Because I didn't realize we were going to talk so much.
Listen, we have a lot of thoughts and feelings about this. So, it's a good thing.
It is a lot more than I thought we were going to, which is great. But at the same time, we would be here all day. I don't need another. Yeah. Again, I'm not trying to be like when I did Namjoon's review album with Shay, Gina, and Jen. When we were on here for 6 hours. I'm not doing that again.
No. And I would even tell you, no, we're not doing that. We already expanded. We've been, I don't know. How long have we been recording already?
A lot longer than I expected. Yes. It's fine.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. It was fun. It's all that matters.
Yes. Any other final thoughts of wrapping up part 1 of how we feel about everybody for now?
I'm still creeped out on how the girls were at his house. That still doesn't sit right with me.
And I know nothing happened, but at the same time,
though?
Y'all, listen.
I'm just saying.
I know, because for my peace of mind, I need to, unless something comes out, I need to be like, no. Because that's the first thing that came to my mind when.
That's exactly my first thought. And which is why I paused it. And I'm like, okay, I need to not fall into that bubble, that thought, and just continue watching.
Because, like, again, I don't know if that's my American mind or if that should be my cautious for anywhere in the world. I just don't know. I don't know. They couldn't have spent at least a little money to put them girls somewhere else. I'm just saying. Mm-hmm. They were there for a while.
6 months. They were brought out 6 months. So they were staying at his house for 6 months. Because not once was it ever said that they were, because even when they meet, it's at his house. Because they show a clip of like when they meet. So throughout the entire 6 months, they were there at his house.
Please, why? Anyway, they're not living there anymore, which all that matters. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. That also brings up another question I have, but we haven't gotten there yet, so I will save that for later. Mr. Yoon, you need to retire and just let Philip take over. Please.
That's the other thing too, is that, and we didn't really touch up on that much, but
we can in the next part.
Yeah.
But trust me, we still got more to talk about.
Oh yeah. But it doesn't seem like he wants his son to take over.
Mm-mm. It doesn't seem like he wants anybody to take over, not even just his son.
Yep, I don't know.
Cravity, you need better managers, and I hope y'all got better managers.
I hope so. I hope. I'm actually going to look them up afterwards to see how they're doing, because, like, man,
I'm detective.
Listen, don't come at me. You're an earth sign too.
Okay, but I don't do like research like you be doing and get like sucked into it and like hyper focused.
Listen, Linda.
We're rooting for Jessi as always.
I'm waiting to see. You know what I did not know is that she hasn't really done like a full album.
I don't think she stayed with the company long enough to put out a full album. She's done EPs.
But how long was she with Psy and P Nation?
Oh, you said.
I did.
It wasn't long. So I think it was like a year or two.
Almost 2 years, because she signed on to P Nation in 2019 and she left in 2022. And through those 2 years, her biggest hit was Nunu Nana and Zoom. Well, then again, they probably weren't
remember what I told you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember what I told you earlier. And I think behind the scenes, they were fighting a lot of how her music should go.
Yeah.
Allegedly. So that also puts things off, especially if she was making stuff. Sorry, I was laughing at the gesture Lala was doing. If she was making stuff, taking it to him for feedback
and him not approving,
and he's denying it. Yeah, so
I hope she comes out with an album.
Well, again, we'll talk about that in my part, because again, it's just we're rooting for you, Jessi. I know I've had some of my qualms, but still, you don't deserve to go through all this.
We are rooting for you, Jessi. Yes, we are. But I'll let you close it out.
All right. So thanks for joining us for part 1. We'll see how part 2 goes as far as length. Again, I was not expecting this, but yes. So we're going to end it here for part 1. And then next time it'll be part 2 of my part, where I did episodes 4 through 6. And then I'll also give a little update of where everyone is currently now. I may have to do some more updates before we record that. So we will just see. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us. Give us your feedback as well. If you watch this doc, how you feel about the first 3 episodes. If you also hate Gravity's managers like we do. If you also think Jessi needs a break. If you also think Mr. Yoon needs to retire and give the company to Philip. Let us know in the comments on Spotify or on our social media. You can follow us at I Was Thinking on all social media. You can email us at iwasthinkingpod@gmail.com for any questions, no concerns. Even if you just want to say hi. We would also appreciate it if you rate us the highest ratings on whatever platinum you're using. Did I say platinum? I meant platform. I don't know, and I'm going to go back and listen to this when I edit to see what did I actually say. It doesn't matter. Whatever platform you're listening to us on, please rate us the highest. And I think that's pretty much it. I have been Simone, your host. That has been my co-host, Lala. And we will see you next time.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.